What is up, YouTube? Welcome into the official Texas Sports Unfiltered pregame show. It is the Texas Longhorns and the BYU Cougars kickoff at 2:30 from DKR Texas Memorial Stadium. We are here for the next 2 hours getting you set for today's game. The Longhorns back in Austin for the first time in almost a month. September 30th, the last home game for Texas when they ran away from Kansas in the second half. The Longhorns back home for the first time in 4 weeks, getting set to take on BYU. And the Longhorns trying to avenge a couple of bad losses to this BYU team in the past. I am BK Brad Kellner. Bucky Godbolt is here as well. Young Brock is producing our on-site engineer, and we are broadcasting live from the Covert Bee Cave Studios out here in the gorgeous Central Texas Hill Country. Buck, happy game day.
Happy game day to you, BK. To you also, Brock. This is a kind of a turning point for the Texas Longhorns as we, get into that midway point and get ready to go. I won't say downhill, but to the end of the season. But this could be uphill for the Texas Longhorns if things don't go the right way. This could be an uphill battle, but hopefully it's smooth sailing from this point on.
Yep.
Even though they don't have their starting quarterback, there'll be a lot of newness around with a lot of guys today. There's, a couple of weeks ago we had talked about my tip for kids, and the difference between extraordinary and ordinary is that little extra. Well, the Texas Longhorns and a lot of guys on this football team are going to have to give that little extra today in order to get this done, I believe.
And it's an exciting day, right? Every
Yes.
game day is exciting, but we've got a new quarterback and a guy making his first career start at the University of Texas. Of course, Malik Murphy will be the starter for the Longhorns today against BYU. No Quinn Ewers. He got hurt in the second half of last weekend's win at Houston. And Malik Murphy will be QB1 for the Longhorns. That was confirmed by Steve Sarkeesian on Thursday. That's obviously the biggest storyline going into this game. Now, hey, Vegas seems to like themselves some Malik Murphy.
Sure.
Because Texas opened up as a 16 to 17 point favorite at the start of the week. The line's all the way up to 20 to 20 and a half points here a couple of hours away from kickoff. So they feel good about Texas's chances. Buck, how do you feel about Texas's chances with Malik Murphy under center?
I still believe that he's going to need some help from others on this football team. Well, I mean, Quinn Ewers needs help from others when he's the starting quarterback. So I think you're going to have to get a little bit extra from this defense, and especially in this secondary today. I think turnovers will matter in this football game. It's a little slick out. By game time, it should be okay. But as of right now, we've had some rain in this area. So, the balls are going to be slick. Once again, weather can be friend or foe. What are you going to make of it? I know this. A lot of these players right now haven't been any wet weather. It's just been pure hot around this place over the last couple of months. So we haven't had very many weather games. Today may be a little bit slick for not only the quarterback throwing the ball and just taking snaps. I mean, that's all the basic stuff that quarterbacks have to do, whether you get the snap from under center or primarily this group is in shotgun. You have to be careful. You have to really accentuate what you're doing when you catch the ball. You got to make sure you can't just one-handed and pull it in. You've got to make sure you've got control of the ball. The run game, those guys have to take care of the ball. The punting game, punters, punt returners, it's all a big part of it. Anything can turn this game into something that it shouldn't be, I don't believe. This should be a nice win for the Texas Longhorns, even with a new quarterback. I'm not worried about what the score could be. I'm just worried about, will this team be efficient? Will it execute the plays that the coach has for them to execute, and will they play good defense today?
Well, you're the weather guy, Buck. I mean, it's been raining all week long here in Central Texas, including some rain this morning. By the time we get to kickoff today, will the rain have subsided, or are we worried about some rain falling at DKR today?
Well, I thought it was going to rain this morning, which it has, but I thought I was thinking, BK, by early afternoon, which about 1:30 or so, this would start to, just get out of here, and then we'd get some sun and get a lot of humidity if the sun rolled out. If the sun rolls out with this moisture on the ground, it will be humid.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it will be hot. It will be hot for the kids from BYU. I mean, it'll be hot for everybody. The humidity would be up pretty high, but as I said, for a guy starting his first game, you'd like to have things perfect, but nothing's going to seem perfect for that young man with the exception of going out there first, to be the guy under center or getting that shotgun snap. That's the only first thing. Everything else is going to be kind of, eyes wide open for him.
Yeah.
It really is going to be. And it's a big day for him. I think it's a big day for Texas fans because this kid could be the future. Who knows? Depending on what happens today, Arch Manning has to be prepared to go in and play if things don't go right, because as Sark said, this is about winning the football game. This is not about individuals and how we have to make sure that guy's okay and his feelings are good and feeling good. No, if he can't lead the team, somebody else then has to go in and lead this football team. This is a football team that still has high expectations. And I think all the fans and I think the players on this team still have high expectations, no matter who the quarterback is.
Yeah.
But if one is starting to falter, this is not the time for feelings. This is the time for winning right now. You can't afford a loss.
Right. You can't afford a loss. I mean, all the goals that Texas had going into
Sure.
the season are still very much in front of them. And that changes if you lose another football game. So Sark's got to do whatever he possibly can
Sure.
to ensure that Texas leaves DKR with the win this afternoon. I'm excited for Malik Murphy, man.
I am too.
I really am. I mean, it's a nervous excitement, right? Because we just haven't seen a whole lot of this guy. He's thrown 8 passes in his college career, and most of those passes came in mop-up duty. Well, he got forced into action last week in the second half against Houston. Texas ended up winning that game. Malik Murphy was the quarterback on the game-winning touchdown drive for Texas in the fourth quarter, but Malik Murphy only threw 2 passes in that game. He was 1 of 2, and his one completion was a little screen pass. So we just don't know what to expect, but man, the potential for this young man feels like it's through the roof. I mean, a super highly touted recruit coming out of California. I think every Texas fan remembers the spring game where Malik Murphy was 9 of 13 for 165 yards. He was the best of the 3 quarterbacks, right? He looked better than Quinn Ewers in the spring game a few months ago. So obviously there's some extra built-in excitement from that performance, but we just don't exactly know what to expect from Malik Murphy. There's a chance he goes out there and balls out, and we feel like we got something special at the quarterback position for the future. But obviously there's a chance, like you talked about, where Sark's got a tough decision he's going to have to consider making in the middle of the football game.
Right. I mean, I don't know what to expect from this team. I know this. The last 2 times I've watched this football team, my high expectations got lowered a little bit by the way they played. It just, yes, they lost one and they won one, but the one that they won wasn't that exciting last week. And the one that they lost was very disappointing 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Very disappointing. So I don't know what to expect, not just from the quarterback. I don't know what to expect from the rest of the team, the offensive line, the secondary, the defensive line, pass rushers, pass defenders. I don't know what to expect from this team because the last 2 games, I don't think they've played up to their own expectations, much less what we think of the football team. So there's a lot going on besides just the quarterback here today. And this is a team, this is a get-well team. It looks like the team, if you're going to play somebody and get well, this would be it. We thought last week was it, and only to find out that this group was in a dogfight with them. Now you got everything in your favor. You're playing against a quarterback who doesn't move around very much. You're playing against a very weak offensive team, a team that you should get some sacks, get some turnovers, and make things happen. But I was thinking that last week, and I just didn't see it. So, as I said, everybody's going to have to give that little bit of extra to help the quarterback, but there's some individuals that need a little extra for themselves playing in this game today.
Agreed. All right, let's hear from Steve Sarkeesian. We're going to hear a lot from Sark over the next couple of hours. We'll start with cut number 1, Brock. Just Sark's opening statement from his Thursday press conference talking about this matchup with BYU.
Frame of mind and space to go play a really good football team. This BYU team is physical. They're tough. Like I said, on Monday, they've got great schemes. And so they tax you in all 3 phases that way. And we're going to have to play really well across the board. We're going to have to play really well at the line of scrimmage. I think the ball will be paramount Saturday, our ability to take care of it. They're a turnover machine on defense right now of getting the ball. And then we got to try to find a way to create some turnover. So in the end, it's been a good week of preparation for us on a lot of levels. But we also know it's a heck of a challenge, and we're looking forward to it being back at home.
Yeah, I mean, he understands the physicality of BYU and some older players, some guys 25, 26 years old, just older type of players, experienced type of football players. And that's what I thought of the University of Texas here in the beginning of this football season. That's exactly what they were. They were a tough physical team. As I said, BK, over the last couple of weeks, there are times where they've been out physical. I mean, and it's not just series. I mean, it's quarters where they just don't look like that team, they have that championship pedigree in them. And they've got to get back to that. And like I said, no better way than to have a home game in front of you, over 100,000 today, your home crowd. You got a new quarterback. Everybody will be hyped, including the quarterback. The players on the team will be excited they want to do well for that young man at quarterback. They also want to do well because they're still in a championship hunt. but the physicality, it's got to be there. And this group sounds like, Sark, when he talks now, when I hear him talk about other teams being physical, I don't hear him saying about his team like he used to. He used to talk about how physical they are. I haven't heard that in weeks about him and the physicality of this football team. This football team, they must be physical at practice and get to the games and something happens where the physicality kind of disappears and they go into this finesse offense and defense. They have to be the ones to be physical today. I believe that shoe has to turn. It really does. This needs to be the group today. We're on the offensive line at blocking downfield, running backs. They have to be the physical group today, and it has to be during the game. It can't be about how physical they are at practice. This has to show up in the games today. Yep. It didn't really show up that much last week and the week before.
No, I'm with you 100%. By the way, you can hit us up on the Clean Cause YouTube comments line, and you can text us on the Coda text line, 512-222-9328. You're right. The offensive line was not good enough last week against Houston. Obviously, they weren't good enough against Oklahoma. It's a big part of why Texas lost that game. But the offensive line has been maybe the most disappointing position group for Texas this year. Now, they've dealt with a couple of injuries, right? The starting center, Jake Majors, missed a few weeks. Cole Hudson has been out for a few weeks, so they haven't been healthy. Maybe that's part of the reason why that group has struggled. They haven't been bad, but they were expected to be one of the best offensive lines in the country. They were coming off of a very, very good 2022. All 5 starters were back. You felt good about those guys. You also felt like Texas had more depth up front than they've had maybe in 20 years in Austin. And they've just been average to slightly above average, right? Some games they have looked really physical, but there have been, 3 or 4 games this year where it's like,
they look okay technique-wise. They got nice technique and all that. But when it comes down and dirty offensive linemen, I just don't see it. I haven't seen it in a couple of weeks. I haven't seen it since Alabama, where they just got down and dirty and just started rolling people around, when they really needed to run the football and they needed to protect the passer. And they're going to have to do both today. 3 keys to victory, which I didn't put it in there, always should be when you have a new quarterback. You have to protect the passer.
Yep.
And today will be, you really have to do something special to protect this passer. You practice with him, but you don't know when he's going to let the ball. Quinn Ewers, you kind of know, if you practice with him, you understand when he'll release the ball. You have a feel where, 1,000, 1,002, generally ball is gone with him. You don't know because of the strong arm of Malik Murphy that he may hold it just a little bit longer. So you're going to have to stay on your block just a little bit longer today. And the same in the run game. I know this in the run game. I don't mind a little wetness with Jonathan Brooks as the running back. Be ready. You better wrap up on him, or that's like a slippery slide right there. That guy, you stick your hands on there and just grab the jersey, you're going to slide right off that guy if you don't square up to him. This may be a running back type of game if it is a little bit wet today.
You don't mind a little wetness?
I don't mind a little bump and grind or a little wetness, I guess. Yes.
Like Tim Brando and Spencer Tillman in the broadcast booth. No. They're grinding on each other.
Please, let's not ever see that again from 2 grown men. Or 2 not so grown men.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. You brought up the Alabama game. The O-line was great in that one. I would say against Baylor and against Kansas, they were also really, really good.
What's your expectations against Baylor? That should have happened.
Sure. And look, against Kansas, like they ran it for 51 times for 330 something yards. Like they were clearly able to impose their will against the Jayhawks, and Kansas is a pretty good football team this year. So we know the offensive line is capable of doing it. I think the Alabama game's the best piece of evidence for that, because Alabama's awesome and their defensive front is always awesome, and that's no different this year. So we know they've got the ability to win up front, but you think of the last 2 games, you think of the Wyoming game, you think of the first half against Rice. Like, there's just been too many inconsistencies with the O-line. Those guys need to step up. You're right. I'd be saying that even if Quinn Ewers was the starting quarterback today. But
I think you would.
You need it. You really need it with a QB making his first start. And like you said, we expect the game plan to be to run the football a lot to feed Jonathan Brooks. At least that's what the game plan should be. You need your O-line to be able to play downhill.
Yeah, this is about championship football now. It really is. And the last time you really played championship football was against Alabama. That's championship football. That's having to come back, having some difficult times, fighting through it, but then dominating in the end. This is to win the champ. This is to get to the championship right now. That means you, for 4 quarters, have to be the dominant force in the game. You can't all of a sudden dominate in the 3rd quarter and say, okay, now we got this, or the 4th quarter. You got to come out. You're at home tonight. This is a home game, and people, their expectations are that you are going to come out this offensive line. And if you want to run the ball, you will run the ball. And if you have to run it 50 times with a brand new quarterback, then you'll have to run it 60 times. Who cares?
Yeah. I had a buddy earlier this week ask me if Texas would maybe overlook BYU. They can't.
How can they?
They can't overlook anybody.
No.
Because if they lose one more game, then they no longer control their own destiny for the Big 12 championship. And obviously they're completely out of the college football playoff picture.
Right.
So they can't overlook BYU today. They almost overlooked Houston last week. I'm not just saying that because the game was close. I'm saying that because of some of the decisions the coaching staff made. Now, hey, I was wrong, right? Last week, I was right here saying that Texas can bench some of the guys who are questionable, right? You shouldn't need them against Houston. You could give those guys an extra week off and get them ready for BYU in the last 5 games of the year. And now you've got enough talent and enough depth to where you should be able to beat a pretty average Houston team. And average might be me being nice. The coaching staff had that same mentality, and Texas nearly lost because of it.
Yes.
And they had to break the glass at halftime and bring Jahdae Barron into the game. Like a couple of guys they weren't even planning on playing, they had to insert into the ball game because they realized, oh, shoot, this is actually close. And if we don't play our best players, we might lose this game. So there was some overlooking by the coaching staff last week against Houston. I thought it would have worked. It didn't. They can't be overlooking. I know K-State's coming to town next week. I know they're playing really good football. I know they were picked to finish second in the Big 12 this year. There's a lot to be maybe thinking about with that game next weekend, but you can't overlook anybody on the schedule. You've got to have that championship mentality every week. Every game is like a Big 12 championship.
Absolutely.
If you want to win the Big 12 title, you have to win every single game the rest of the way.
Even those hucksters at Tech.
You've got to, even your Marquette, you've got to treat today like it is the Big 12 championship, because if you lose, you're not going to win the Big 12 championship.
I mean, you can't overlook anybody. I mean, that's the old coaching cliche. Treat them all the same. Now, we know what human nature will do to you too. And I don't even think we saw that last week. I thought we saw a Houston team that was better prepared than they have ever been against anybody that they've played. Obviously in the Big 12, they were more prepared than they've ever been prepared. So it's not just they were playing Texas. They looked better prepared.
Yeah.
And they took advantage of some guys that were young in the secondary. They took advantage of guys who were hurt, and they just absolutely at the wide receiver position last week were fantastic. They just were. And we knew they were good. They weren't just good. They were pretty good at the wide receiver position. And we saw that last week. And I don't know if we knew that they were that good at the quarterback position, even though Texas had seen that young man last year and he lit him up last year when he was at Tech. But he also didn't have to run the ball. Why run when you can throw against Texas? Now, It's my deal is everybody wants to run against Texas to find out if they're going to be tough and physical in a football game. BYU will try today. They'll see what they can do. They'll see if Texas is up to the task when it comes to running at them. They won't be successful. It won't happen for them, but they're not going to waste their time, and they can cross route all over the place, fly, sweep, anything you want when it comes to crossing and getting guys confused. They're not going to waste their time slamming into the wall when they know that these guys can't cover them. Why would you do that? There's no reason to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about BYU's inability to run the football. They have the 127th best rushing offense
That's bad.
in the country. In other words, they have the 3rd worst rushing offense in college football. They cannot run the football, and they haven't gone up against a defensive front as good as Texas is. So, yeah, you're right. You would think BYU, look, they'll try to run the football. It's not like they're going to drop back and pass it 100% of the time. They're going to see if they can do something on the ground. But based on the way this season has gone for them and based on the way this season has gone for Texas, it's going to be a heavy dose of Keaton Slovis through the air. Let's hear from Steve Sarkeesian because, the secondary was obviously a massive, massive issue for Texas against Houston last week, and it was an issue in the loss against Oklahoma. We'll go cut 10 here, Brock. Here's Steve Sarkeesian talking about fixing the secondary.
First of all, we got to figure out which guys we're going to have back there, and then two, part of it is the secondary, part of it is, getting the rush to where we can affect that quarterback more and force a few more errant throws because the running game was pretty much null and void. We did a great job defending the run. But we've got to find a way to eliminate passing lanes and to play tighter coverage and then force some errant throws. If people are going to throw it that much, we got to create some interceptions. We got to create some sacks, some sack fumbles.
Oh yeah, Coach, they're going to throw it that much. They are. They're going to continue to throw it that much if they can continue to get away with these crossing routes and you don't get pressure in the quarterback's face. They're not going to stop throwing it. And from this point on, BK, this conference. There are going to be guys that can throw it. They can run it themselves at quarterback. There are also going to be guys that can throw it to have some decent wide receivers. And this group's got some tall kids. They don't have to be they don't have to be, Slovis doesn't have to be that accurate because he's got some long kids, 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" guys that if he's not on target, he's got length, you know, if they're out in front of some of the secondary guys from Texas right now, if they're in trail mode today against these wide receivers, he can lead these guys and they can reach out and just grab the ball. They're tall.
Yeah, Keaton Slovis is a pretty good quarterback.
Yes.
And he's been around, right? This is his third stop. He started at USC, then he went to Pittsburgh. Now he's at BYU. It's his fifth year, not as a starter, but his fifth year playing decent minutes as a college quarterback.
Yes.
So he's kind of been there and done that. And you're right. Yeah, BYU's got some tall receivers.
But if you can't run it, if you make them just totally one-dimensional and you feel good about your defensive line, you can just get after this guy and say, you know what, we may give up a little something here in a run game. Okay, we gave up 6 yards, but I don't think they're giving up tons of yards. I don't think they're giving up 120, 130 yards of rushing.
Fuck, they gave up 14 rushing yards last week and almost lost because the secondary was so bad. Like, BYU can run it for negative 10 yards. If the Texas secondary plays as poorly as it did last week, then they're going to make this a game today.
You're right.
So that's what scares me. It's like, yeah, I don't think BYU is going to be able to run the football. That'd be a big surprise. I'll eat my words if I'm wrong. That feels like a pretty sturdy limb that I'm going out on right there.
I would agree.
I don't know about the secondary right now.
You don't give a damn if they pass it 100 times. You don't feel that good about just the throw.
I hope they run it 100 times.
Yeah.
Hey, keep banging your head against the wall because it ain't going to work. But I don't think BYU's stupid enough to do that, right? Like, Texas has to clean things up. Sark talked about who's going to play, who's not going to play. We don't know. It sounds like Ryan Watts will be back, which is great news for Texas. He's this team's best corner. He's also 6'3".
Yes.
So you talk about BYU having big receivers, and they do. All of their receivers and tight ends are 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". They've got a ton of size on the outside. They're not as fast as the Houston receivers, but they are bigger than a lot of the guys UH had last week. But, so that makes it good that Ryan Watts, who's your best cover corner, he's also your most physical corner.
Mm-hmm.
He's your best tackling corner. He's your biggest corner. Having that guy back, hopefully, he's only one player. There's still 10 other guys on that defense, but hopefully he can help calm the tides that have been going down with this Texas secondary.
Yeah, we've got to find a guy who's going to rush the passer today.
Yeah.
And that just has to be. There was nobody rushing the passer last week. Somebody, I mean, I know Texas has a future and players coming in the future, but this is the championship run, and somebody's going to have to come out of nowhere, because it will be out of nowhere if all of a sudden you find a pass rusher, a guy that all of a sudden creates havoc with sacks. You know, I'd love to see some individual today, whether it's the freshman, I don't care if it's blitzing linebackers, somebody needs to have 2 sacks today. Somebody needs to sack the quarterback twice.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I know this as a group. I'd love to see about 4 sacks today somehow, but I need an individual that has that day, you know, from the outside that gets on a tackle and just beats him a couple times, because we know where the quarterback's going to be. They're not set in the pocket outside the tackle. The quarterback's a straight drop back guy who'll sit back there looking for a ham sandwich and some chips, some Pringles. So you know where he's going to be. They're not running quarterback option with him. You know, they're not running quarterback counters unless – oh no, they decide to do something different
than what they put on film?
No. That would be the Monday discussion if that happened. If they start running quarterback counters and they're successful, we'll hear about that on Monday. We didn't see that on film, but I don't expect them to do that.
No, Keaton Slovis is a statue back there. And obviously Dylan Gabriel was able to burn Texas with his legs. And Texas clearly expected Donovan Smith to be running a lot. They put a guy in spy very often last week.
They didn't need to.
And they also, you know, their linebackers weren't dropping as far back in coverage as they needed to. That's why so many Houston receivers were open over the middle of the field on those crossing routes. It's because, you know, the Texas linebackers were kind of getting closer to the line of scrimmage thinking, we got to respect Donovan Smith running. And he's like, oh, you're going to scoot closer to me? Well, that means there's going to be a guy wide open behind you. And that's kind of what they did. Texas did have 3 sacks last week. One of them obviously was the strip sack fumble, which was a huge, huge play.
It was one of their goals last week is to get turnovers.
Yeah, and that was, you know, that's why Texas won, right? Like, that was the only thing right that they did defensively is they forced a couple of turnovers. And if they don't force those, we're not talking about a playoff potential. We're not talking about a Big 12 title. We're just, you know, talking about trying to get back on track and win a football game for the sake of this season not spiraling out of control. So, yeah, thankfully the defense was able to make a couple of those splash plays last week. Hopefully they can do that today. But you're right. It starts up front. You've got to get more consistent pressure because you you know the secondary is not a strength, right?
Yes,
Like
yes.
that. If the secondary struggles today, it's not going to surprise
No,
people.
it's not. It
Okay,
won't.
because even though Watts is back, I don't think Catalan's going to play, and you're still a little banged up back there, and you've just seen enough to be a little bit worried about that group. So you can't expect your secondary to all of a sudden look like you got Nathan Vasher or Rod Babers or
right.
Aaron Ross or Michael Huff back there. Like, not going to happen. So you've got to overcompensate up front. You've got to do something to mitigate your weakness on the back end. Hopefully getting a pass rush can do that.
Yeah, I hope PK takes some chances today. I mean, just go ahead, out and out blitz, come get this quarterback. As I said, he's a guy who's going to be right where you know he's going to be. So bring some pressure to him, get him off that spot, which maybe you don't even want to get him off that spot. You want to keep him on that spot and just get after him with some pressure. And if you have to blitz to sack the quarterback, then you do it. And I know you don't like to hear all of that, because then that leaves your secondary guys back there with some big, tall, wide receivers, or you can throw it up for grabs. And that's not going to be fun either. But if you have to take some chances to get sacks today and turnovers, you just have to.
Yeah.
I mean, you should be a better team, period.
I agree. Sam on the YouTube comments line, brought to you by Clean Cause, says BYU will win by 3. Texas is overlooking this team just like Arkansas and Tech did. I don't know if Arkansas and Texas Tech overlooked BYU. I just think they suck.
Yeah, how about that?
Those two teams have a combined 5 wins. Texas has 6 wins this season. Like, Arkansas is 2-6. They just fired its offensive coordinator.
We're not overlooking anybody.
And Yormark U is awful, and they were playing with their 3rd-string quarterback. So I don't know. Look, if Texas is overlooking BYU, there is a chance BYU wins this game by 3.
That's true.
I'm not saying that part of your comment is wrong, Sam. You can't compare Texas to Arkansas or Texas Tech, because Texas is a much, much better football team right now.
No, it just needs to get back to, there's a championship level that they started out the season with, even though they struggled in the Rice game, the Wyoming game. They won those games, but they were also pretty stout in a lot of different ways. Offensive line, defensive line. They gave up some and some silly play calling here and there. But this team had a look about them. There's something, that championship look is just kind of missing right now. They're just kind of treading water. It's when teams get certain guys hurt, they start looking around at each other and saying, well, you can make the play. I'm going to do my job. But this is one of those games where everybody needs, as I said, everybody needs to step up the pace. They've got to be the guys making the plays. You don't look for anybody to make the plays. You make the plays today. This has to be where you make the plays. We had to come out of this game, BK, talking about numerous people on defense, on that defensive line, not just one guy. I'm looking for a pass rusher, but we have to come out of this game talking about numerous guys that really, really played well on the defensive line, that pressured the quarterback, that caused the guy to throw balls that were inaccurate and maybe into the arms of the defenders. So that's what I'd like to see, where we're not just I want to focus in on one particular guy who can rush the passer.
Yeah.
But what we have to be able to do at the end of this game is talk about numerous guys on that defensive line, including the defensive ends and the linebackers that really played well.
I'd like to get a little bit more of a pass rush from the interior of the D-line.
Pushing in his face.
Now, those guys have been great, right? Tavondre Sweat is the highest graded defensive tackle in college football right now. Like, he's been a freaking beast. So I'm not going to criticize his play at all. He's just not the most consistent pass rusher in the world right now. Byron Murphy, he's been great too. Like, those guys are the biggest reason why Texas's run defense has
Byron
been
Murphy has not had that game where he's got 3 sacks, where he's just created so much havoc. He's been very consistent in what he does.
Yeah.
His push has been good, but he needs to be the one who strips sacks the quarterback, knocks him into the ground, balls on the ground. He needs to be one of those guys that we're talking about on Monday, of just absolutely cleaning guys' clocks.
Yeah. I mean, he's got 2.5 sacks this year. It's, not terrible for a defensive tackle, but this guy, some of his teammates were comparing him to Aaron Donald.
Right.
And we knew that was lofty, but
Sure.
okay, what makes Aaron Donald so special? Well, not only is he a freaking beast against the run, he's also one of the best pass rushers in football, regardless of position, but he's able to get that pressure right up the gut, and quarterbacks hate that pressure in their face.
Yes, they do.
More than anything else in the world. So if you can get more from those guys in that, I know you're asking your best players to carry more weight, but hey, go be your best players.
That's right.
Go step up. You need guys to step up with your starting quarterback out. Go make a couple of extra plays, because once again, you talk about knowing the secondary is a little bit banged up right now. Well, you don't have Ethan Burke today on the edge. You're a little bit banged up on the edge, and hell, you haven't been great off the edge at all this season.
That's true.
So, hey, find a way to step up. See if you can be the guy to get more pressure on Keaton Slovis today, because that will make life so much easier for the rest of the defense.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to be – that little extra will mean an awful lot to this team today, because mano a mano, they're better. But just give that little bit of extra because you're going to have to give that little bit of extra today. I mean, that's what I expect this group at wide receiver, with this young quarterback to be in the right spots, BK, not confuse him. He'll be confused enough. That's just the way it is. I don't care who it is. You starting your first game, that picture is not going to be as clear as you think it is. If it is, that's fantastic for the Longhorns, but it doesn't matter who's quarterbacking. That first couple pictures that he sees of the throwing lanes and things like that, it's not going to be that clear until he has a couple successful throws and gets going. Then he'll start to feel it. And once this kid feels it, I think he'll be really, really special.
Yep.
But you got to give him the opportunity. You can't be a receiver that takes that extra stutter step somewhere where the ball has to be thrown. I know this, when it's time to get your head around, your head better come around or you're going to get leather into your face mask. Because if he lets it go, it's going to be on you in a hurry.
Yeah.
So you want to get your body around and get squared up to the football when it's coming with this guy.
Well, let's get back to the offense here in a moment. But before we do that, how about some scoreboard updates brought to you by our friends at Moonshine, Patio, Bar, and Grill.
Oh, yeah.
We'll start with the Big 12, then we'll talk about some of the ranked matchups going on right now. It's not a great slate of games today. You only have 2 ranked versus ranked matchups, and one of them is Duke versus Louisville. Who cares? Like, seriously, I'd rather watch every other game today besides that one.
I haven't cared since Louisville got beat by Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Oh,
really?
That cost you a few units. My God. Yeah, we'll do a check-in on some of Bucky's 1,000-unit plays as well. I don't know if this one's going to make you feel better if you're a Texas fan. Halftime in the Little Apple. It's Kansas State 28, Houston 0. So Texas really struggled with Houston last weekend. Obviously, Texas will welcome Kansas State next weekend. It's a beatdown right now in Manhattan, 28-0 K-State at recess. Other Big 12 action at halftime. West Virginia leading UCF 17-14, and a matchup of teams that Texas will not see this year. And then we're in a weather delay in Lawrence right now. Lightning in the area. Midway through the second quarter, Kansas with a 14-7 lead over 6th-ranked Oklahoma. This game was 14-0 early. Oklahoma scored a touchdown. They've got the ball. They are driving. But obviously we're in the middle of a lightning delay right now. So we'll keep you posted when that one resumes. Dream start for KU. If they could pull off the upset today, that'd be something, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and for Kansas State, that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. I mean, it's
just annoying though, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they don't pretend that they're tough. They are tough.
Yep.
They play a physical brand of football. You don't ever have to worry about the coach saying, we play physical football. Everybody that plays against them understands what's about to happen when they take the field against them, and it's going to happen for 4 quarters. And it doesn't matter for Texas playing them next week. Guess what? Texas knows that. Sark won't have to talk, or he won't have to tell us Monday, well, we're going to play a physical team. We'll be like, okay, coach, we all know that, because that's what they do. And if Houston put all their eggs into that basket last week and lost that football game against Texas, guess what? They're going to get hammered. They're going to get hammered in the Little Apple today, which it looks like they are.
Yeah, that's happening right now. Yeah, K-State, that's a team I think you want to play early in the year, because it just feels like they get better every single year as the year goes along. They have found their stride right now all over Houston. Once again, 28-0 there at recess. Some ranked matchups. I already mentioned that Oklahoma is down to Kansas right now. Boy, number 10, Penn State, coming off of that heartbreaking but expected loss in Columbus last week. They're in a battle with Indiana right now. 2 minutes left in the second quarter. Penn State just tied it up at 14. They were down 7-0. They were down 14-7, but they just scored a touchdown to knot this one up. Indiana is 2-5 on the year, 0-4 in conference play. Penn State was a 31-point favorite in this game, and once again, it's tied right before halftime.
Yeah, this is a game that Penn State will probably pull away and win in the second half, but this is not good for James Franklin. That last week was a calling for the Penn State Nittany Lions, and people in Pennsylvania were not happy because that was his best chance in years to beat Ohio State and still couldn't get it done. So you lose to Indiana after losing to Ohio State, that's not going to be good for his future.
Even if this game's close and they find a way to win, it's not going to be good for James Franklin's
because
future.
They got Michigan. They got the cheaters just around the corner.
Yep, they do have the cheaters just around the corner. One other ranked game in progress. Number 4, Florida State leading Wake Forest 24-7, late stages of the second quarter there. Florida State, of course, 7-0, very much in the playoff conversation so far, taking care of business on the road against the Demon Deacons.
That could be the best team in the nation right now, too. Florida State right now.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
You think they're that
playing.
good?
Well, I mean, I think they're that good. I mean, my sleeper is not bad.
Your sleeper is the best team in the country.
Yeah, we cheat.
They are cheating big time. I mean, a ridiculous amount of cheating going on by Michigan. They're filming everything, practices, games. I saw them at the Lake Travis game last night filming.
Just for the hell of it?
Yeah,
just to get a practice?
Because somebody on the field's committed to another Big Ten school, so they're trying to see
man.
what he does well and what he doesn't do well, so they're ready for that one.
Boy, they are trying, so they are cheating.
Yeah, Michigan, I don't even think Michigan plays today. Doing a quick scroll of
No, they're
scoreboard.
off today.
They're off today. So, hey, Florida State, they've been good. They've got a couple of nice wins under their belt. I don't think they're the level of Michigan or Georgia, but
they're playing better defense, and it looks like the old Florida State team with the linebackers and the guys on the outside can get to the quarterback now.
Yeah, they're playing well. And then one final thought on our scoreboard update. How about those Texas Rangers last night, Buck?
Yes, indeed.
Walk-off winner in Game 1 of the World Series. Corey Seager, the 2-run game-tying homer in the 9th, and then Adolis Garcia.
Why are you even pitching to that guy? That guy is now like Barry Bonds. Send him down to the base pads. I don't care if you got one on first. Send the next one down to seconds. Don't let him. He'll screw up your whole game.
Who are you rooting for here?
I'm rooting for the Rangers.
Well, then pitch to him. You should want him to keep pitching to him.
My goodness. I mean, just baseball nonsense. That guy comes up to the plate, and there's anything with an open base, send him packing. Just go jog down to the base.
You're right. Honestly, Seager and Garcia.
Both of those guys
pitching
right now.
to either of those dudes, but hopefully the D-backs keep pitching to those guys. What a win for the Rangers. They looked dead in the water last night. They find a way to get it done. A thrilling victory for Texas. Game 2 tonight in Arlington. Same time, a little after 7 o'clock. It's Jordan Montgomery for the Jurors going up against Merrill Lynch Kelly of the Arizona D-backs. We'll see if the Rangers can go up 2-0 as that series shifts to the desert for the next 3 games. The first of our mini scoreboard updates brought to you by our friends at Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill. Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill is a place that takes you back to a simpler time. Comfortable and familiar, relaxed and easygoing, Moonshine greets guests like family, serving up great cooking with an innovative take on classic American comfort food. Moonshine's menu satisfies even the big city tastes, and our friends at Moonshine want to thank you for all of your support over the last 2 decades. They are celebrating 20 years here in the Austin area. If you're looking for a great post-game meal, right? Maybe you're going to the game today, looking for something for dinner, go see our friends at Moonshine.
Sunday brunch, BK.
Or, if you're looking for a brunch before the NFL gets going tomorrow, maybe you want to watch some of the games there too, they've got you covered at Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill. 2 locations, one downtown and the other one in Avery Ranch. Check them out online at moonshinegrill.com for more information. All right, let's shift gears. We've been talking a lot about the Texas defense. Obviously, the biggest story for the Longhorns today is Malik Murphy and this Texas offense. We will start with Steve Sarkeesian here. We'll go cut 3. This is Sark from earlier this week talking about coming up with a game plan for both Malik Murphy and Arch Manning.
No, I mean, I think in the end is we got to take our time as a coaching staff, which we started on yesterday. What are the things that Malik does well? What are the things that Arch does well? It's not always about the idea of the play and putting it on a whiteboard, because there's a lot of plays that look good, but what do they do well? And then how do we ensure, okay, here's the concepts that we think they run really well. They don't have to run the whole playbook. They need to run what they run really well. And then how do we devise a plan that incorporates what they do well with the personnel, formation, motion shifts, run game to tie it all together? And so that's kind of how you do it, you know. I think it's important that they get confidence early is always helpful, but you never know how a game's going to go. These guys are elite competitors. I'm not concerned about them, fighting through when adversity strikes, but I do want to make sure that I'm giving them the opportunity to do the things that they've shown us that they're good at and that they like, because Saturday is going to be a test enough. It doesn't need to be a final exam as far as, let's test them on things that they might know or might not know. I want to test them on the stuff that I know they know really well. I hope they get 100%. This is an open book test. I hope they play great.
Yeah, I think for Sark's case, it's not going to be just keep it simple, stupid. It's not going to be that method. It's just not, because that's not the way he coaches. But you can't overwhelm a young quarterback with some of the things that you think Quinn Ewers can do and say, well, we're going to run our offense. Well, you'd be silly to just run your offense with a guy starting for the first time. So you're not opening up the playbook to these guys in a week. I know they've been practicing all year long. The one dude who's starting today has been there for 3 years. He understands. He's heard the play. He's heard the calls. He's seen it at practice over and over again, but he's never actually been out there. So now he's going to be out there. You can't keep it that simple because college football just doesn't let you keep it that way. The guys on the other side aren't going to let you just run simple things against them. Those coaches are going to know, yeah, Sark's being way conservative today, guys, over here. I know what he's going to do. I know these little zones he's trying to drop the ball off to make this kid have success. No, you got to open it up, but God, you still have to be careful in what you do with this particular quarterback. Yeah, you find out the things that he does well, but you still have to let some of the things just fly. Some of these things that you've done with yours, I mean, throwing the ball deep shouldn't be a problem with this kid. Just dropping back and heaving the ball and letting it go. And if it's not into double coverage and if you got man on man out there, he can get it out there. So let him do some of those things. You know what I'm saying? There'll be a lot of maybe some overthrown balls, but there won't many be underthrown. I know that.
Well, he's got a cannon.
I
think he's got a stronger arm than Quinn Ewers does.
Yes.
And like you said, he put some zip on the football. I mean, he's throwing fastballs like 98, 99, it feels like, to his receivers.
Sure, that's why I said get your head around, because when that guy lets it go, it's going to get on you in a hurry. So, but I think you have to – it's just too easy to say, let's just do the easy things because this level of football – you can't do that. You can't just come out too basic.
So that was interesting because that was from Monday. And, Brock, we're going to go cut 7 here. What we just played was from Monday's presser, and what we're about to play is from Thursday's Zoom availability.
Okay.
And somebody asked Steve Sarkeesian if he's going to be conservative on offense this Saturday because he's got a backup quarterback in the game. And you kind of get a different answer from Sark with this one.
I try to recruit players to come here that fit our system. And I think for us, systematically, I want to run our plays and our schemes of exactly who we are. And if I didn't think those players were capable of doing that at any position, most notably quarterback, then they might not be the right fit for what we do. And so I think both Malik and Arch are great fits for us schematically. Again, everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses, and then our job is to try to play to their strengths. So we're going to run our stuff. And again, but tailor some things to what Malik does well. But again, we've got a firm belief in who we are and what we do and why we do. And I think that's why sometimes in training camp and different things, we may have tough days at quarterback. But that's because we put a lot on them and there's a lot of moving parts to what we do. But I have to do that in practice and in training camp and in spring ball so that they can get experience doing what I know we're going to want to do on game day.
Yeah, he's used to elite athletes. They've been recruiting elite athletes to do the things that when he was in Alabama with those wide receivers and running backs, what he did with with that offensive line group. He's used to that. He's saying, hey, there's a reason why you're a 5-star. You got recruited to go to Alabama. Well, now he's feeling like the same thing is here at the University of Texas, but he's got to make some elite play calls. The fake field goal, that's an elite kicker and holder too last week. But that dude wasn't getting 6 yards for a first down.
Hey.
So make some elite decisions as the head coach too.
All right, don't be dunking on the kicker and the punter, okay? The punter is 1 for 1. He's got a 100% completion percentage.
Made the first
higher
guy
than
miss.
Ewers, higher than Malik, higher than Arch. And then, the kicker made the first guy miss.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
So
we might have some weapons that we just don't even know about
The
right
under
now.
25 guys rallied to him after the first guy missed and just clobbered him.
Hold on.
So you got to make some elite calls today too.
Yeah, that was interesting, though, because on Monday, it felt like Sark was like, nah, we got to tailor our offense specifically to whatever quarterback plays. And it's almost like we're going to do something completely different than what we have done with Quinn. And then that second cut we just played from Thursday, Sark's like, we're going to tailor some things to help them, but we're going to run our stuff. And that's what I wonder what we're going to see, because we know what the Sark offense is. We know what it looks like with Quinn Ewers. We've seen it for the last year and a half at this point. Will we see that same type of offense, or will we see something completely different today? I just don't know. I want to make life as easy as possible on Malik Murphy.
Well, keep running the screen game that you started last week.
Sark's offense at its peak, like when he has the guys that he wants, it's pretty complex. It's pretty complicated.
Yeah.
So I don't I don't know if that's the best thing for a first-time quarterback. Like, I want this to be as easy as possible for Malik Murphy. You're right. The screen game, maybe just 1 to 2 reads, maybe half-field reads versus full-field reads. Like,
when that guy's at his best, BK, there's wide receivers wide open. There's nobody near them.
Right. Like, that's what you want to see, obviously. Yeah. But look, the biggest thing is running the football. I think that's obvious. You want to make sure that you feed the ball to Jonathan Brooks early and often, and that's the number one thing that's going to take the pressure off of Malik Murphy today. But also just, I don't know, like keep it relatively simple.
Sure.
I'm not just saying that because I don't believe in Malik Murphy. I'm just saying that because anytime you've got a first-time starting quarterback in college football, that should be the mindset. So
when your best player is the running back, you probably should be giving it to the running back on a day like today.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, right?
Yeah.
Like this is I keep bringing up the Kansas game this week, but I think it's worth repeating that game plan is what Texas's game plan today should be. Now, look, maybe BYU loads the box. They probably will load the box. Maybe they do a better job than Kansas did at actually stopping Texas's run game, but I'm going to keep trying to play downhill.
For sure.
You ran it 50-plus times for 330-plus yards against the Jayhawks.
And now you've got another running back who's starting to feel pretty good about himself, too.
Yeah, I still want Jay Brooks to be the guy getting most of the carries. I know C.J. Baxter played maybe his best game as a Longhorn last week. I still am not trying to do like a 50-50 split.
Oh, I'm not doing that.
Or anything close for those guys. But, to me, this is a Jonathan Brooks game. Like, feed Jay Brooks. Last game was his first time in the last 5 weeks where he didn't crack 100 yards. This should be 100, if not 150 for Jay Brooks on the ground.
I would agree with that 100%. But I think now you've got a young running back that is feeling his way and understands that I really am pretty good at this level. I can make some things happen too. And I think you've got a kid who's big and powerful. And now you can show your physicality with both your backs, because now they're both looks like two physical runners. That those 4 and 5 yard runs, you're going to pay for it on defense. And you don't want to let 50 times of that coming at you during the course of a day.
Yeah.
That's a long day for your defense.
And you talked about it maybe being humid today because of all the rain we've had. Like that'll wear somebody down.
And it's tough. If it's slick, it is tough to grab a hold of a big running back coming up in there and you grabbing jersey and you're not wrapping up well. This is the day one Ricky Williams used to love. He used to love when it was wet outside. Because if you tried to grab him around the shoulder area, you weren't going to get anything with that. If you didn't wrap him up, that was going to be a problem. And Jonathan moves. He moves his body like that a little bit when he's running. So he'll be hard to tackle. And the big guy is looking kind of stout when he runs at the end. He finishes his runs pretty well now as a freshman. I mean, he understands what it's all about. They've got two runners that if they carried the ball 60 times a day, nobody would care.
No, I wouldn't.
And you won the football game, that'd be great.
I wouldn't mind that at all. Maybe get Savion Red a few carries too, right? Because the code red,
of course.
Red Cat, Wild Red, whatever the hell we're supposed to call that thing, it's been working in short yardage situations. It also worked near the goal line last week. Like that was a good thing for Texas. Now, they weren't 100% in converting those red zone trips into touchdowns, but the first 2 red zone trips of the day did result in touchdowns for Texas, and one of them was the Savion Red Cat package too. So use that as well. Like he's not going to get as many carries as Brooks. He's not going to get as many carries as Baxter, but Savion Red has proven that he can pick up some yards for you on the ground.
Yeah, I think when I have any questions about what goes on offensively, with the exception of the quarterback today, I look at this offensive line and I'd like to know where they are mentally.
Yeah.
What kind of guys do they think they are? What kind of players do they think they are? Do they think they're physical against certain teams and not physical against another team? Or do they have the mindset that they have to be physical every time they step on the field? They miss the physicality part of it throughout the course of the game. There's some lulls in the way they play that just shouldn't be at this time. This is, as you said, this is supposed to be one of the best offensive lines in the nation, but they don't play to that consistent championship level like that. They have these, they sleepwalk for a quarter or, for a couple series, and you can't have that if you're trying to get to the championship. And they're good enough to do it.
Yep.
Jake Majors played last week. I didn't expect to see him play as much as he played last week. They said he was going to play, but I expected to see him a couple series, and I thought he'd be kind of limped up, and he wasn't. He just played the game.
Yeah.
And I expected for him to play the game today and make all the right calls. And if it's time to run the ball and get those hard yards, I expect for them to do that and keep the chains moving. It's about keeping those chains moving today.
That's it. Win the time of possession battle, too.
Yes.
Once again, Kansas, I mentioned the rushing stats. You also held the ball for 40 minutes in that game. If you're able to do that, keep BYU's offense on the field, maybe more importantly, keep your own secondary off the field. That's going to go a long way into winning this game and covering
with all
this
this
game.
Big physical talk today, I'm not taking Jonathan Brooks as the offensive player of the game.
Okay.
I've got the surprise today.
You want to do that now? Or
Yes, I
offensive
do.
player
Let's
of the
go.
game prediction brought to you by our friends at Verde's Mexican Parrilla?
Yes, I am going to take Xavier Worthy
Okay.
because I'm counting his offense as the special teams guy today. He's going back to the house today. He's taking one of these punts. One of these punts are going back.
Wow.
Some of these old dudes on missions that have been on missions for BYU,
Yeah.
they're not going to be able to keep up with his legs today. He's gone.
They got a bunch of 40-year-olds who won't be able to keep up.
He's gone today. I don't care if the ball bounces to him. I don't care if he catches on the run. He's taking one back today. He's going to be that guy that gives you that little extra today, I believe, in this special teams game.
Well, we'll see if you have the magic touch, because I had predicted a Xavier Worthy punt return touchdown like 3 weeks in a row, and I was 0 for 3. So we'll see.
This is his day. This is his day, and which means I know he's going to catch one of these over-the-top balls. He's going past somebody, and this young kid is just going to throw it up there, and he's going to run underneath it. Now, he may overthrow it, which is hard to believe with his speed.
Yep.
But this guy's got this gun that when he lets it go, you better be in full stride going to get it. So, but I think he'll catch a long pass for a touchdown. But I believe he'll return a punt today.
Okay.
I think he's got 14 points in him. That's on the low end for me with Xavier Worthy.
I like that pick. So I guess you might have already answered my question, but a question that I did have that I wanted to ask you was, who is Malik Murphy's favorite target going to be? You think it is Xavier Worthy?
I think it'll be Xavier Worthy too. I think he'll throw. I mean, when Sark attempts to throw the ball down the field, I think Xavier Worthy is going to be this guy's guy that he's going to look to.
Yeah.
That if you get him in a man-to-man situation, give him an opportunity to go get the ball. Now, somebody else may catch 7 or 8 balls, maybe more balls than he'll catch, but he'll have big plays today, I believe. I think this is an opportunity for Malik Murphy to show off his arm and Xavier Worthy to show off his speed.
Yeah, Xavier Worthy's quietly having a really good season for Texas. And what was the thing that plagued him last year? The drops.
Yes.
Like, I'll knock on wood. 1 drop through 7 games.
Pretty good
this year for Xavier Worthy. And he's been targeted a lot, and he's been more efficient with his targets this year too.
You just question his ability as a punt returner. Everybody's a little worried about him back there.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that today. I think he takes one back.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Okay. I'm cool with the Xavier Worthy punt return touchdown today. So
I know who you're thinking about though, because it has to be that guy.
Who's that?
The guy at running back. It has to be that guy, doesn't it?
It's got to be that guy.
It's got to be him, right?
Yeah, I'm going with Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah, it has to be that guy.
And last week I picked Gunnar Helm for some reason, and I was trying to be different. I think he had a couple of catches against Houston, but he didn't really do all that much. But yeah, I'll go with Jonathan Brooks. I think he needs to be Texas's offensive player of the game if Texas is going to cover today. I think they can win even if Jonathan Brooks doesn't go for like 150 to 200 yards, but Texas is going to cover the nearly 3 touchdown line that's out there right now. I think Jay Brooks has to have a huge day, both running the football, but also as a pass catcher too. Like, I think that's one thing that we've learned a lot about Jonathan Brooks this year, is that he can be a weapon in this passing game too. So whether it's the screen game, I know he had a couple of drops early in the year, but it feels like he's got that figured out. Find a way to just get that dude the ball. I mean, I really think he's built for 25 to 30 touches today.
Oh, like, if it's a little wet, that's even better.
Like, maybe it's 20 carries and 5 catches. Maybe it's 25 carries and 5 catches. I don't know, but I feel like this dude has the ability to be a bell cow for this offense. Nothing against CJ Baxter, right? Get him some snaps. He can be a nice change of pace for you, but Jay Brooks, to me, is the best offensive player on this football team right now. Find a way to give that dude the ball, and I think Sark is smart enough. Hell, I think he's smart enough to do this even if Quinn was the quarterback, but especially with the backup in there, I think Sark's smart enough to realize that 24's got to have a big-time day today.
Yeah, and as we talk about these offensive players, if things don't go right and they have to go to Arch Manning, it'll be interesting for us to see what he does well. What is his strong points? I mean, we barely know what we think Malik Murphy's strong points are. That we saw him in a spring game. Yeah. But do we truly know what Arch Manning's strong points are? What is it that he does so well that we don't really know?
Well, I found this very interesting. On the depth chart that they gave the members of the media in the press box today, they list the starters at every position. At quarterback, they've got Malik Murphy or Arch Manning. You take anything from that?
No, I don't know why you would do that. I mean, the kid's been the backup quarterback since the springtime. I mean, we've talked about, and the head coach has talked about him being that. I don't know why you would make it an or today.
Yeah, I don't either.
He's going to start. You've already said he's going to be the starting quarterback. Why would you add an or?
Well, does the or make you believe that maybe there's a chance Arch Manning gets in this football game?
Well, I think there's a chance if there's a blowout going on or they've got a nice lead or Malik Murphy just pees down his leg.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the only reason I can see him playing. I mean, I can see Malik Murphy playing into the fourth quarter because I want my quarterback who could be my quarterback for who knows the remainder of the year or for at least the next couple of games. I want to see him in the fourth quarter. I don't care whether I have a lead or I'm behind. I've got to see that guy play in the fourth quarter.
Well, let's hear from Steve Sarkeesian. We're going to go with cut 4 here. This is from Thursday. Sark was asked if Arch Manning is going to play in this game on today. Here's Steve Sarkeesian.
Like I said, Malik's going to start the game and go play in this game. I haven't made a decision if I want to get Arch in there just to get him in there or not. But we have discussed that some because I do think there's some valuable experience for him in that, but I have to make sure that that's in the best interest of the team. Right. And I have to make sure that the team comes first in everything that we do. But I do see the value in something like that. I'm not ready to make that call yet.
What is this? A make you feel good game or something? No. I mean, what value? Hey, listen, you wouldn't even do that last year when your starting quarterback was struggling and you needed to make a change to put Hudson Card in the game to win a game. This isn't the feel-good game. This is.
Well, I think what Sark is talking about when he uses the word value is, if Quinn Ewers is out for a few weeks, what happens if Malik Murphy goes down with an injury?
Well, the next guy is Arch Manning.
Exactly.
No
So I think like in Sark's perfect world, yeah, look, Malik Murphy plays great for 3 quarters.
Right.
Texas is up by 4 touchdowns, and then Arch gets to play the 4th.
That's what he's talking about.
That's what Sark wants. That's what everybody, I think, wants today. But yeah, that I think is going into Sark's answer there is like, well, shoot, like I already probably wish that I got Malik Murphy into more of these games this year, so he was more prepared today. And then now I might have to worry about a true freshman, not a redshirt freshman who was an early enrollee and has been in the program for 2.5 years. Now I'm one play away from a true freshman having to come into this game. So maybe I should try to get that guy a couple of snaps just in case something happens to Malik next week or the week after that.
But we've seen Sark fall in love with his starter. We've seen him do that before, where guys could have probably gotten in the game. And even this year, where these guys could have gotten in some games earlier in the football season, when they were beating up on Rice at times at the end, or Wyoming, where the guys, hey, put him in now. But he left Quinn Ewers in there to get him going, to keep him going. I mean, that guy ought to understand that nobody plays 12, 13 football games, and especially the University of Texas at quarterback, nobody makes it through a whole season. So now to come back now and think, well, I know what he's thinking. Now he's probably thinking with the man in the mirror, I should have got those guys in before.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's thinking about doing this. No, if you're going to still stay that way, you still got a quarterback that's the backup right now. He needs as many snaps as he can get if he's going to be maybe possibly the long-term guy.
Yeah,
But yeah, I understand what he's talking about when he talks about Arch. But I mean, I'm not looking to see Arch Manning in series number 3 in the beginning of the football game to come in and play a whole series. I'm not looking for that. We haven't seen that from Sark since he's been here with his starting quarterbacks. Just for the hell of it, here, bring a guy in for our series. Why would he start that now?
Well, we saw that in year 1.
With Hudson and those guys?
Yeah, with Casey Thompson and Hudson Card. So we have seen that from Sark. I mean, I don't know if that's a Quinn Ewers thing or if that's just how Sark wants to operate, where he wants to stick with the same guy. Look, if Malik is rolling, leave him out there.
Yes.
I'm with you. I don't want to do this 2 series with Malik and then 1 series with Arch kind of deal. Like I'm giving Malik Murphy at least a half of football today. And hopefully he's playing well enough to where there's no discussion at all about who's going to lead Texas out of the locker room to start the second half. Right. Hopefully Texas is winning. Hopefully Malik Murphy's playing well. And then boom, Arch Manning. I'm sure they're going to show him on the TV broadcast about 5,000 times today.
Oh, he'll be up on the screen, yes.
But hopefully they keep showing him with his helmet off on the sideline because Malik is playing that well. So, yeah, I mean, in the first half, I don't want to see Arch Manning at all. And, yeah.
And this is the game. If Malik is your starter, yeah, if Arch Manning is your backup, like maybe you should have done earlier in the season with Malik, get him in the games. Yeah,
right.
This probably is the game to do it. It's not going to get any easier from this point on. I'm not saying the day is easy, but it won't get any easier. From this game on.
You still have Texas Tech.
Oh, let's not forget them.
Yeah,
yes, of course.
It will get easier.
It will get. They do have to come here, don't they?
Yeah, that's the last game of the year. You got some tougher ones in between now and then.
You're right.
And confidence, I think, is such an important thing for any young player, but especially a young quarterback. And I feel like you can really mess with the guy's confidence if you have a rotation like that,
Are you,
Like,
yeah, are you,
if
are you
Malik
making him
Murphy
feel like you don't believe in him?
if Malik Murphy throws an interception on the second series of the game, and then Arch Manning comes out there for the third series, it's like Malik's got to be thinking, "Oh shoot!" Like,
No, dude, you don't have that guy anymore. That guy's mentally gone.
yeah. See, that's why I'm worried about some sort of proposed rotation, and that's why I'm with you. I don't think Sark's going to do this. I think he's going to roll with Malik for most of the game, but yeah, I'm worried about the idea of bringing Arch in at all while the game is still in the balance, because I just feel like you might completely lose Malik for this season. And then also people are worried about him entering the portal, right, in the offseason, because we're not sure what the future of the quarterback position holds. But more importantly, for the here and now, you can really rattle a guy's confidence and you can mess with his head if, boom, he makes one mistake and all of a sudden you're taking him out.
Right.
Or if he plays really well and then you're taking him out, he's like, what the hell is going on here? I'm playing well. Why am I not playing? Like, you run the risk of seriously just effing with the kid's head if you're making decisions like that.
Well, I got to believe that Malik Murphy understands Sark. They've had an understanding. He's still here. He hasn't gone anywhere. He still stayed on this campus. He's been here for 3 years. He could have gone other places and probably been a starter somewhere in major college football right now. So he understands the coach. He understands what kind of person he is. He's not going to do something that's not for his own good. Yeah. He's not trying to hurt his feelings. He's not trying to play favors to anybody. He's just he's doing what's best for the team. And that's what you have to hope that the coach is doing. I mean, he talks about it an awful lot. I have to do what's best for this football team. And the fans are going to expect Sark to do what's best to get to the championship game, because even if your star quarterback's not here, your starting quarterback, my expectations haven't changed that this group should be playing in the championship game at the end of the season.
No, I'm with you.
Nobody's hopes should be like dashed because, oh, we just want to survive and see what kind of bowl game we can get to. No, my thought is this group is still good enough, the way they play, the way they've played defense, and they've got enough established players on offense, with the exception of the quarterback, to get to the championship game in this conference this year. I'm not going back and saying, no, the reason we didn't get to it was because of Quinn Ewers. No, I'm still expecting them to win and get to play in that championship game.
Well, Texas is going to be favored in its last 5 games.
No matter who's the quarterback.
No matter who the quarterback is.
Right.
Right. And they're 20 to 21 point favorites today, even though it's Malik Murphy's first career start, and they're going up against a team that's 5-2. So, yeah, I mean, you might be a little bit worse off because you don't have your starting quarterback. Sure. But no, the expectations for this team should still be to make it to Arlington.
This should be the loudest crowd of the year. This crowd today, I think, will be humming, guys. I mean, I think they will be foaming at the mouth. I'm serious. Just in that stadium, just drooling, foam coming out of their mouths like rabid dogs. This is where your fans can really do some good things for you with a young quarterback.
I don't know if drooling's going to help too much.
Well, just don't bite. Okay, if you're foaming, let's not get rabies throughout the stadium.
No, we don't need any Florida man stories
no
today.
Florida man stories. But they should be excited today to see this guy play. I mean, this is a guy who's really kind of kept the faith for the university. Really, he has. I mean, he could have very easily been out of here. And I think a lot of people's expectations, that guy was going to be gone this spring. But he stuck around. He waited for his opportunity. And you got to cheer on this dude. I'm totally behind what he can do. I'm totally behind winning. That's what I'm behind.
Yeah.
But I'm behind this dude today. I want to see him really have some success. And this team gets back to the way it should be playing. They should be playing physical ball from every point of view. It shouldn't be these quarters where they don't look so physical now. And we're going, well, how comes that in the third quarter they didn't come out looking very physical? This is where everybody goes above and beyond today.
Well, yeah, I'm going to cheer anybody who suits up for Texas, but Malik Murphy's an easy guy to root for.
Sure.
Isn't he? Because
his teammates let you know that. They're out now telling you. The head coach is telling you what kind of kid he is. The players themselves tell us what kind of kid he is.
Well, loyalty is hard to find in sports these days, and it's really hard to find in college football these days, and it's even harder to find at the quarterback position in college football because of the transfer portal. And look, we know, I mean, there are a few reasons why I'm super excited about Malik Murphy today. One of those is that we've heard from guys like Chip Brown that there are a couple of Power 5 programs that reached out to Malik Murphy after the spring. And I'm not talking about like Northwestern caliber Power 5. We're talking about
Texas.
Oh, they're not Power 5. We're talking about like major schools across the country who wanted to get rid of
Franklin, Penn State.
I don't know about Penn State, but they need a new coach. They're trying to get Sark in the transfer portal instead of Malik Murphy.
Oh, boy.
This guy was getting the bag, though, from other schools.
Sure.
Like, they were trying to convince him to leave Texas and go somewhere else. That is exciting for me. Another thing, Jeff Howe has been saying this week, he reported that he talked to a Big 12 coach who's already gone up against Texas this year. And he's like, dude, we would trade our quarterback for Malik Murphy right now. Like, there are a few Big 12 schools that I think would give up their starter, not like the dude who's second or third on the depth chart, their starter to have Malik Murphy on their team. So people really believe in what this guy's capable. Obviously, the high school highlights are pretty legit. The spring game highlights are incredible. 9 of 13 in that game for 165 yards. I mean, there's plenty of reasons to be excited about what Malik Murphy can bring to the table. But once again, he seems like the easiest kid in the world to root for. The fact that he has stuck it out in this era where nobody wants to compete.
No.
The fact that he has been competing and waiting for this moment, and he's finally getting the opportunity. It's damn near impossible to not want to see this kid succeed.
Yeah, and then they've got the talent and the players to help him succeed today. These guys, if they go above what they have been playing over the last couple of weeks, BK, they can get this done today. And they can get it done pretty easily. And I'm not saying being in a dogfight, but playing a really solid football game and beat this team and beat them pretty good. This team can't move the ball. They can't run the ball.
No, they can't. They cannot run the ball. A quick check of the YouTube comments line brought to you by our friends at Clean Cause. Daryl says, if Manning starts, I'm going to lose my poop emoji. Don't worry about that. You can keep your poop emoji because Arch Manning is not going to start today. The question becomes, will we see Arch Manning at all in this game? Nick says pretty sure they've been listed as or for the backup all year. I think you're right, Nick, where Malik and Arch have been or on the depth chart, but it's not that big of a deal when it's the backup quarterback. It's a bigger deal when you're talking about the starter going into this game. And another comment from Brock. I don't think the rain will bother BYU. They're used to soaking. You know what soaking is, Buck?
No, is that another one of these things that a 60-year-old man hasn't got to yet? Still working at it?
I don't know. This is something I think BYU students are believed to do.
Soaking.
Something in the bedroom where you just kind of leave it in, you know?
Oh.
You don't actually
I got you.
do any thrusting. Oh, yeah.
No, come on.
Yeah.
Really?
You got somebody else in the room moving the bed.
Don't worry about it, people. Your kids are in the car in your pregame show.
Well, this is important. You got to teach your kids about other religions.
That's
this
true.
This is what the Latter-day Saints.
Okay, thank you.
They don't do premarital intercourse, and this is a way that they can get around that.
Is that like a hole in the mattress and thing?
Like a glory hole?
They don't cut holes in the mattress and stuff like that, do they?
I'm sure they do. Some of them do, I guess.
Wow.
Is that what you do?
No, it's not what I do.
Sure sounds like you're speaking from experience.
No. Goodness gracious, no. I'm excited. I'm excited because I think the fans will be excited today too.
Yep.
You know, we've had really great crowds so far this year because the expectations are high for this football team. But I think the expectations should stay high. And this would be one of those days, you know. The show, they've been gone away from this stadium for a long time.
A month. I'm telling you, September 30th.
Wow.
Today is October 28th. It's been basically a month since Texas has played at DKR. Now, they haven't been great at home this year, right? Like the best games that they've played were on the road. Now, last week was not one of them, but the Alabama game on the road, the Baylor game on the road. Those are the two most complete games Texas has played this year. Rice, there were some issues. Wyoming, there were some issues. Kansas was close at halftime. Obviously, Texas ran away.
We knew with Rice and Wyoming, there was no threat. There was no real threat. I never felt threatened that they were going to lose that game.
No, but still, like they I guess my point is they have not played a full 4-quarter football game at home this year.
No.
Like the two complete games that they have played have been in Tuscaloosa and in Waco.
Yes.
It'd be nice to see them play a full 60-minute game to where it's like, all right, they get off to a great start, which we saw last week against Houston. We saw in Baylor. We've seen that a couple of times, but also a nice finish too. Like it'd be great if they're up 21-0 again early in the second quarter, but it'd be even better if they're not tied at 24 with 6 minutes left.
This is that game. This is that second game that Sark, I think I talked about. He'll have to win 2 games. This may be the one. You got a new quarterback. This is the coach right here. Coach, this is for you. This is the one that you have to win for the football team. And that doesn't mean that you have to call all the greatest plays in the world, but you got to make this quarterback comfortable. But throughout the game, your decision makings, whether you take the 3 points or try to get the 6 yards with your All-American Gale Sayers kicker, I mean, you got these are decisions that affect the football team. You know what I'm saying?
You know, we've got all these.
There's Gale, there's Sayers over there.
We've got all these great running back jerseys in here. We've got a Gale Sayers signed jersey. We've got a Priest Holmes signed jersey. There's a Tony Dorsett behind me. There's a Ricky Williams right across from us.
We need to get,
we need a Bert Auburn signed jersey in here because that guy makes somebody miss on every play. He's had one carry and he's made someone miss on it. So,
dude, he made that guy whiff. How's that possible?
Like I said, that guy should have lost his scholarship right after that play. If I'm Dana Holgorsen, I'm sending that guy to the locker room and telling him, leave your jersey in there and go home.
Well, if you're Dana Holgorsen, you're more mad at the officials of last week with the spot at the end.
That was a great call. It was a great call. What are you talking about?
How did you miss that call? I mean, really, who is marking that ball? Who was looking at it from upstairs that didn't say, let's try to do this one over again? It's only a half a yard.
I believe it was DeLoss Dodds who was the side judge for that game right there. All right, let's. We mentioned the YouTube Clean comment line is brought to you by Clean Cause. Buck, how about a word for our friends at Clean Cause?
Well, Clean Cause, the organic sparkling yerba mate with all the great flavors: cherry lime, orange ginger, and folks, they've got 160 milligrams of better caffeine. That's right. You're not going to get all the jitters from the caffeine with Clean Cause for sure. You can get it at H-E-B, Whole Foods, and hundreds of other stores around the Austin area. Check this out. They give back 50% of their profits to individuals in recovery from drugs and alcohol addictions. Half of their profits go right back into what they do best, and that's helping folks that have addictions. And I love the folks at Clean Cause, and you will too. Find them at 7-Elevens. My buddy's Ashish place. They got them there.
Yes, they do. Yes.
Love it.
They do. And we mentioned the offensive player of the game predictions are brought to you by our friends at Verde's Mexican Parrilla. We should give them some love.
How about them? They were here yesterday for our meet and greet, and thank you to Norman Watkins for being here yesterday at Covert's out here in BK. And let me tell you, they had ceviche.
Oh,
delicious ceviche yesterday. That was good stuff yesterday. Thank you to Verde's, and of course, I do love the chicken dinners there. Chicken Verde with the stuffed chicken breast with mushrooms, zucchini, and cheese. That sounds good.
God.
The zucchini doesn't sound good to the Buck, but when you add the mushrooms and the cheese with it, it's the best. I love going to Verde's.
Yeah, that place is awesome. Located on Hamilton Pool Road off of 71, Verde's is serving up an extensive menu of all of your traditional Mexican and Tex-Mex favorites. Beautiful indoor dining area. Also a covered patio. Like the weather's starting to cool down a little bit. The patio outside is massive. They've got footballs and frisbees and a bunch of games for the kids. They got plenty of tables. The margaritas are spectacular.
Yes.
The food is incredible. Go see them. They also can host your party or cater your next event as well. Shout out to our friends at Verde's, and they will be back this Friday. We're going to be promoting this a ton throughout the week, but some guy named Ricky Williams
showing up here
will be our guest here at Covert BK next Friday for our pregame luncheon. So we hope to see all of you watching and listening right now here at Covert BK next weekend.
We double up on the Smoky Moe's sandwiches, the wonderful turkey sandwiches that Mitch and the gang bring over here in Verde's. We doubled up on the food, so we expect you to come to lunch because we know you'll be going right back to work right after that, around 1 o'clock or so.
Yeah, nobody works on Fridays here. I don't know what you're talking about.
Nobody's going back to work.
No. How about this text on the Coda text line, 512-222-9328. If you're listening on the app and you want to get involved, hit us up there. Is Texas going to use Jay Brooks more today since Quinn is out? Also get a YouTube comment that says run the ball and let Malik stretch the field. I think the answer should be yes, right? For Texas,
I would say
feed Jonathan Brooks, make that a big part of your game plan. And look, you can't completely abandon the passing game.
No.
I want to see Malik Murphy. I want to see what he can do at quarterback. And I've got enough faith in the young man to where I believe he's going to make some big time plays for Texas today. So yeah, you should run the ball. I think in Sark's perfect world, even when Quinn's the quarterback, he runs it way more often than he passes it. But really today, that should be the game plan. But BYU is going to stack the box.
Yes.
They're going to play a lot of one-on-one on the outside, which means, hey, these receivers, they've got opportunities to get open.
That's right.
They should be good enough to do that against a pretty average secondary, and Malik Murphy's going to have chances to find these guys down the field. I want to see some of that today too.
Yeah, but I don't want Sark to get, hung up on the fact that, we're not running it well. They got too many guys in the box. You got to still continue to run the ball at that. That if they're putting too many guys in there, that means they don't have any guys that means the guys in the secondaries have their backs turned. And Jonathan Brooks, with the running backs that you have right now, these guys on defense better be really good tacklers. I know they're physical, but they better tackle well, because if they miss a tackle in that area in there, BK, where your linebackers have their backs and they're running down the field, then Jonathan Brooks is going to have a big day, and so will C.J. Baxter. Because if they break the initial line of scrimmage and nobody's around there, goodbye.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Go ahead and load up the box. I love when teams will load up the box for some of the runners at the University of Texas, because if you don't tackle them, there's nobody else.
No, BYU's defense not great this season. They're 11th in the Big 12 in total defense. They are 9th in rushing defense. It's been a problem for them this year.
And that's your strength. And once again, we can look at this offensive team and talk about, Quinn Ewers and these great receivers and guys doing this and the great tight end. But what they do best is they run the football. And you can't give up on that. You can't let them dictate how you're going to run the football today.
No.
You've got to be the one doing that. I do like the screen game, the way the screen game was starting to develop last week.
Yeah.
These little drop-offs and these middle screens and things like that just gives Jonathan Brooks another chance.
I don't want to see as many screens as we saw last week.
That was a lot.
It felt like Sark was getting paid by the screen. And I think some of it had to do with Quinn Ewers getting hurt before he actually left the game, right?
That arm not being able to throw it down the field.
Yeah, it was clear that he was just looking for those little dump offs. And some of them I think were design screens, and some of them I think were just check downs because Quinn didn't have faith that he could throw the football down the field. But God, I mean, like it felt kind of repetitive, not Greg Davis level repetitive, but
not tunnel screen.
I don't want to see a ton of those, but I'm with you. Like they can be effective. I'm not saying don't call any.
I just look at
screens
them as
today.
run. That's just an extension to me of the run game with Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah, give Brooks the ball, and that's a good way to give him the ball. But also, once again, like let Malik grip it and rip it, man.
Sure.
Like the dude's got a freaking great arm. Like I think he's got a pro level arm in terms of strength. Now the touch, we're not sure about that. Obviously reading defenses, we're not sure about that just because we haven't seen it. It's not to say that he can't do it, but I think one thing that we are sure of from what we have seen from Malik is that he just can absolutely zip the football and he can put some mustard on it. And you don't want to just waste that on screens. You want to see if he can actually throw the ball down the field.
Now I know he's an okay runner, but you also want to see today, does he have the ability to know when to leave the pocket, when there's an 8-yard gain for him without having to throw into a tight window? Should I throw it or should I run it? And when in doubt, run it for 8 yards.
Well, take what the defense gives you, right? Yeah. Like that's advice for any quarterback.
That's Dylan Gabriel kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's what that does. That if you give him 8, he'll take it.
Yeah. Don't try to be a hero.
No.
Right. Like I know this is a cool moment. I know Malik Murphy has waited for this moment his entire life. And there's going to be some jitters and some butterflies, but there's also going to be like I got to prove that I'm the best quarterback here.
Moving.
Let's just take what the defense gives you, man. Take what the defense gives you, whether that's running, whether that's check downs, whatever.
I just don't know what he is as a runner. That's what's unusual. I saw him escape in the spring game, but they blew that quick. They always blow that quick whistle. So there won't be a quick whistle here today.
No, there won't. There won't. And that's the one thing. And let's hear from Steve Sarkeesian here. We're going to go cut 8 here, Brock. Talking about Kalani Sitake, who, of course, is the coach at BYU. He's a defensive-minded coach. You don't see too many of those nowadays, it feels like. He's been at BYU for 8 years now. And for me, he's one of the better defensive minds in this sport. Here's Sark talking a little bit about the problems that the BYU defense can present.
If you think about Kyle Whittingham and those great defenses that they've had at Utah over the years, and Kalani and Jay were there for a lot of those years, it's a very aggressive style, very attacking, attack the line of scrimmage. Defensive line is penetrating. They're trying to get into the backfield. I think they have a lot of confidence in their players and in their scheme. They do a good job on first down, second down of mixing things up, and on third down, how can they get to the quarterback? But in the end, they're ball conscious, and you see the turnovers and when they come and why they come. I think their players are really aware the coverages that they're playing, and I think that goes back to coaching. Those guys are good coaches. They've been doing it a long time. Got a ton of respect for them.
I've always loved react and read defenses when it's the run game. Go ahead, come up there, come pressuring real hard so I can get zipping right by you. I never liked the ones that just, stayed at the line of scrimmage, held on to the guys, looked, read them, got off of the offensive lineman and made tackles right there. I like aggressive guys that get to a point and they go. And their aggression today, there'll be some stunts now.
Yeah.
There'll be you'll see some tackle in exchanges here today because they're still going to get after this offensive line and see if they're able to do that in the passing game and in the running game. They'll run some stunts against the run game too today if they're bringing up that many guys on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, well, they're going to try to confuse Malik Murphy, right?
Sure.
Like they would do the same for Quinn, but surely with a first-time quarterback, they are going to do things that confuses him with twists, with studs.
That's why it's great to have Jake Majors if he's playing back on the field to help this offensive line and how to.
He played last
these
week,
guys.
and
Yes.
he was okay, and the O-line itself was just okay against Houston.
Yes.
And you want better than okay. You feel like this group has the potential to be better than okay. We've seen them be better than okay. So, that should be the case because, BYU is going to be aggressive. They're not just going to sit back and say, Malik, you can do whatever you want. They're going to blitz a lot, and they're going to bring guys from all over the field to try to rattle Malik Murphy. So,
yeah, I think I'm putting more pressure on this offensive line today. I think when I look today, I'm going to look more at, is this offensive line aggressive enough in the run game? Are they going to show their dominance in the run game? Are they going to let little stunts get to them? Are they going to pass off things really well today with the new quarterback? Or are they going to be passive and hope just the running back will make the moves and make the cuts? I think they have to be the aggressor today on the offensive line.
Yep.
I know what to expect from the defensive line when it comes to the run game. This group can't run the length of this table right here. So I know what to expect from the defensive line. I don't know what to expect from the secondary because that's a game-to-game, quarter-to-quarter, series-to-series thing of how this secondary will play or who will be in this secondary. So I know kind of to expect from them, but I expect this offensive line to show their dominance. It's been a while.
Yeah.
It really has. I know, and the running back's one of the best in the nation. He's got an awful lot of yards. So I'm not saying that they can't run block because in order for him to get what he's done, they've had to be pretty good. But it seems like it's been a while,
Yep, I agree. And they got beat the last 2 games that they've played. They lost up front against Oklahoma, and I don't know if they necessarily lost up front against Houston, but they didn't win the way that
our expectations. We saw that Houston team, they were supposed to dominate that group.
Yeah. Well, here's how BYU wins this game today. Turnovers.
Yes.
And that is the one thing that scares me a little bit with Texas today. I mean, BYU is 4th in the country in turnover margin. They've got 16 takeaways this year. Now, they did have 5 last week, which inflates the numbers a lot. They went up against Texas Tech. Texas Tech had a true freshman quarterback. That guy sucks. He's not ready for college football right now.
No.
Threw 3 picks, lost a couple of fumbles. I mean, he just kept giving the ball back to BYU. Maybe the good news is BYU only won that game by like 13 points. You would think if you're +5 in the turnover battle, you win by like 40. They won it by 2 touchdowns. So maybe that's a little silver lining that, okay, even if Texas does cough it up a time or 2 today, they could still find a way to win this game. But that's where you got to be careful. Wet ball, potentially.
Yes.
First-time starter at quarterback, an aggressive defense. Like all of that could be a recipe for a couple of turnovers. You do that, you let any inferior team stick around, but especially this BYU team.
Yeah, and I would think today too, if Texas goes out and really wins this game in dominating fashion, like I think it should, and like we all think it should, even with a brand new quarterback, they still should show the athletic talent that they have. That this secondary will have to pick 2 balls. That
Texas secondary?
Yeah, that will be.
I'm not as like, that'd be great. I'm more worried about Texas giving the ball away though. Than Texas did have 2 takeaways last week. It'd be nice. Like, obviously that helps with the turnover margin stat if you get a couple of your own, but
field position turnovers.
Yeah. Well, shoot, you think we can see 2 takeaways from this defense again this weekend?
Yeah, I hope to at least get 2 I'm talking about a takeaway or hitting a running back when they do decide to run, since they don't do it that well, that these linebackers and these guys on the defensive line can. I'm expecting at least another strip sack from a guy who stands right there where you expect him to be in the pocket.
That'd be nice. Yeah, BYU's lost 2 games this year, and in both of those losses, Keaton Slovis threw a pick 6. So, and both of them were pressure-induced, right? He threw one against Kansas, threw a couple of picks in that game, and then he threw one early against TCU. And that game in Fort Worth got out of hand pretty quickly.
They got butchered there.
Yeah. So, this is funny enough. We were talking about Texas going up against backup quarterbacks 3 weeks in a row. This is actually BYU's 3rd straight opponent playing with the backup quarterback. They had no problem with Texas Tech last week, but TCU's backup quarterback torched BYU. And that game was a road game for BYU. And another weird stat, BYU is 1-2 in day games this year. They're 4-0 in night games. They're 1-2 in day games, and their 1 win came against Southern Utah, who's an FCS team. They played 2 day games. They're 2 road games in conference play, and they lost both of them. 1 in Lawrence at Kansas, and then 1 in Fort Worth against TCU, where, their backup quarterback threw for like 450 yards in that game and 4 touchdowns. Wow. So I'm not predicting that for Malik Murphy, but hey, Come on, man. Some
Why
guy
not?
at TCU just did something like that a few weeks ago against this same defense. Why not Malik Murphy? Maybe unloading on this BYU secondary a little bit, huh?
Why not?
I'll take it. Do you have any UTSD from BYU coming to town?
No,
Like,
well, if I see that guy on the sideline, I will.
Boy on
All
the
I need to-
bicycle?
if I do see that guy, if Taysom Hill finds a way not to go to his NFL game on a Saturday, and they let him stay and maybe leave Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening,
Yeah.
and he has to go to his game, that worries me.
If
I don't
he's
wanna see
even
that
there
guy
as
around.
if he's there as a fan, I'll be worried.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
wanna see
going
that
to
guy
assume he's
around.
going to be suiting up though, playing at some point.
I do
this
too.
week.
I assume he's going to run the option.
Yeah,
That's what I'm worried to see.
you know he's younger than some of the guys on their roster. After all,
Man, that guy was good.
yeah. BYU's 4-1 against Texas all time. Now the past games should have zero impact on what happens today, right? But BYU 4-1 against Texas. Texas's only win was 17-16. The 4 losses, 5 points, 41 points, 19 points, 34 points.
Wow.
BYU has outscored Texas by an average of 33-14 in the 5 games that these two schools have played against one another.
Yeah, but this ain't Robbie Bosco back there at quarterback.
This is not Robbie Bosco back
No.
there at quarterback, and it's
No.
not Boy on the Bicycle back there
No.
at quarterback.
Not Jim McMahon.
It's not McMahon or
No.
Detmer or Steve Young.
No, it's
Ke-
not those guys.
Hell, it's not like Keaton Slovis is not as good as the last 2 quarterbacks
Right,
that
you're
BYU's had.
absolutely
I mean,
right.
Zach Wilson was the number 2 pick in the draft. Say what you will about him in the NFL. I'll say it. He's ass. He sucks. And then Jaron Hall, like a rookie. He was a 5th-round pick this past year. Like that guy, I think, was better than Keaton Slovis too. So, yeah, Keaton Slovis is fine. He's a good player, but he ain't Boy on the Bicycle, and it shouldn't be like that for this Texas team today. But I'm not gonna lie. When BYU takes the field today, there will be a little bit of
You'll be looking around,
flashbacks.
seeing what that number was.
Like, I gotta clear that shit from my head,
Oh,
dude.
my goodness.
I can't. Oh, those were awful. Both of those games happened when I was in school, and
That was awful. That was an awful time.
not good. Not
No.
good. And yeah, Keaton Slovis, I don't think he's even Steve Sarkeesian good at quarterback.
There you go.
Forget about that dude. Sark, of course, played his college football at BYU back.
Yeah,
in
well,
the
these
day.
2 guys at the head coaches know each other well. So
Yep.
this will be Sark's real opportunity, like I said, at home in front of a big crowd with a brand new young quarterback ready to go with a really good, talented football team that just hasn't played well in the last 2 weeks. One they lost, one they found a way to win.
Kind of felt like a loss, right?
No, it's right now a win is a win. You take a field goal win this week and go on and get ready to play K-State next week. You need to win the football games now. It won't be a beauty contest from this point on to get to the
Well,
Big 12 championship.
Not to get to the Big 12 championship.
Right.
And some people, like
I know what you're still thinking about. You're still thinking about the big deal.
Well, everybody should be thinking about the big deal because this is the highest ranked 1-loss team in the country, and they're ranked number 7 right now. So, like Kevin has been saying this all week, and there are a lot of people who agree with Kevin on this. It's like, stop talking about the playoff. This is not a playoff team. And right now, is Texas a top 4 team in college football? No. But you can't, like, to me, you still should mention the word playoff because they can still make the playoff.
Yeah.
Now, they lose one more game, then you should not talk about playoff at all because it's impossible because no 2-loss team has ever made it to the
Right.
CFP. But, like, you're right. To win the Big 12, which is the number 1 goal for this team going into the year, style points don't matter.
No.
All the wins count the exact same. You can win every game by 1 point, and you're going to get to Arlington,
Sure.
and you're going to get a shot at Oklahoma again. But style points do matter when you're talking about the playoff. I will say this because right now
But if you win the Big 12, you're going anyway, right?
you would think.
Yeah.
You think that the chaos is going to play itself out
Sure.
to where, okay,
You still only lost one.
you still only lost one, and enough other teams have lost to where you'll still find your way in. But, because the Big 12 is not very good this year, there could be a little bit of a beauty contest that does come into play when you're comparing resumes of 1-loss teams. So there's some element of wanting to not just win these games, but also wanting to win these games
But you're winning your championship. You're winning the Big 12 championship.
right.
You get to go.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. But you guarantee that you get to go if you're winning these games by 3 touchdowns.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So that's like, I just, in college sports, sometimes style points do matter. And the number one thing is win the game, especially when you have a backup quarterback in.
Yes.
Just find a way to win. But I will poo-poo the notion that style points don't matter at all right now for this team. I think there is a small element of that being an important thing for Texas, just considering what the landscape looks like in college football right now.
Speaking of the landscape of football, is Oklahoma losing yet?
There we go. Well, scoreboard update right now, our final one for today, brought to you by our friends at Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill. Oklahoma was losing 14-0. They're now up 21-14. Kansas just kicked a field goal late in the first half, so it's OU 21, Kansas 17, with 48 seconds left of the first half. Ask any Texas fan, that's enough time for OU to score a touchdown. There's no need. We're having a good day.
Need for that?
Sorry about that.
That was
guys.
weeks and weeks ago.
Yeah, it still hurts. It still hurts. But there's your score in Lawrence. A couple of other ranked games going on right now. At number 4, Florida State all over Wake Forest, 34-10. See, their style points right there for FSU.
Absolutely.
That game early stages of the third quarter. Penn State, they've trailed a couple of different times against Indiana. They were 31-point favorites against the Hoosiers at home. They lead Indiana 24-14. 2 minutes left in the third quarter there. So don't think BYU is going to cover. Not the bounce back performance I think the fans were looking for in Happy Valley, but as of right now, it looks like they are going to avoid what would have been a catastrophic upset. A couple of scores in the Big 12 right now. Kansas State 35, Houston 0 after 3.
Taking care of your business there.
Of course, K-State comes to Austin next weekend. That should be a big game. West Virginia over UCF 31-21 in Orlando. UCF still looking for its first Big 12 win. They are down 10 early fourth quarter against the Couch Burners of West Virginia. Those are all of the active scores right now. Buck, since we are talking about some of the other games in college football, real quick, how about a thought on the biggest game of the day? Number 8, Oregon at number 13, Utah. That's another 2:30 game, so you might be flipping back and forth between Texas and this one. Oregon, a 6.5-point road favorite here.
I expect them to win today. I expect them to put their defense out there. The quarterback from Utah is done for the year. We finally got a final on if that guy, if he's playing, if he's not playing, he will no longer play.
Yeah.
He'll be done. I don't know if he has an 8th year or 9th year or how many years he's getting to play there at Utah, but I think he'll come back and play.
I do too.
If he's able to play college football again, I think he'll come back and play for them. But he's done. But I expect Oregon to win that game.
Yeah, there's your style points right there. These are two one-loss teams right now. Right. So these are some of the teams you might be competing with when it comes to the college football playoff picture. Of course, Texas, the highest-ranked one-loss team. They're number 7. Oregon right behind Texas with their one loss, ranked number 8 in the country right now. So that's a big one. Once again, there's only 2 ranked versus ranked games in college football today. The other one is Duke and Louisville. Who the hell cares?
No.
Georgia, Florida, I think, is maybe an intriguing one. Georgia's dominated that rivalry in recent years. Georgia, a 14-point favorite today. No Brock Bowers. Florida's actually 5-2. I feel like people think Florida sucks. Well, they're not awful right now.
I think they win today.
Florida?
Yes.
Whoa.
I think they beat Georgia today.
I was going to ask you if you think there's a chance that it's close.
No, I think they win that game. They're like a 13-point dog, I believe.
Well, they're not playing Georgia Tech. If they were playing Georgia Tech, I would agree with you.
Yeah. No, I think they beat Georgia.
Wow. Too. Yeah, 14-point line right now.
Yes.
Okay. That would really shake things up in college football if the number 1 team goes down.
They're going to miss Brock Bowers, and they're going to miss that dude a lot.
Yeah. How many units are you putting on
Not many.
Florida today?
Not many.
No.
No gator chop here.
Oh, let me do a check of because you had 1,000 unit play in college football. You've got 2 5,000 unit plays in the NFL. You've got the Colts over the boy on the bicycle and the Saints.
Kansas City.
And you got the The Chiefs. I wasn't talking about Michigan. They're the Chiefs. The Chiefs, 7-point favorites at Denver.
Don't try to disappoint me now. Just go ahead and tell me how my Boston College Eagles are rolling now.
So that was your game, right? Boston College, a 14-point favorite at home against UConn. Right now, 13 minutes left in regulation. Boston College leads UConn 21-14. So they're only up by 7 right now. You need 14 for a push. You need more than 14 for a win.
Wow.
Yep. So congrats to all of you smart people out there who did what my cousin did and faded the buck.
Wow.
UConn in a good spot right now. There's your final scoreboard update brought to you by our friends at Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill. Buck, we gave our offensive player of the game predictions. Now it's time for our defensive player of the game predictions brought to you by Kenfield Golf Cars. Who you got?
I'm going to take Anthony Hill.
Okay.
He's playing a lot of football. This is another one of those games. This is a game that I think they'll put him outside primarily, let him rush the passer. They know exactly where Slovis will be. So I think this is a good opportunity for this young guy to get himself 2 sacks, maybe a sack, fumble recovery. I'm going to take Anthony Hill. I'm going with youth today.
Stop messing around
Yes.
with Anthony Hill. Okay. Like,
Please,
I,
yes.
I know you want to put him at a few different spots.
Do that next year.
And I think he might be capable of playing a few different positions on the defense, but you need edge rushers.
Right.
You need a pass rush. You're not getting enough of one from your edge guys right now. And you're shorthanded because I don't think Ethan Burke is going to play today. So let Anthony Hill be a full-time edge in this game today. I'm not saying he's the second coming of DeMarcus Ware or anything like that, but I do think he has the ability to wreak some havoc in the BYU backfield today coming off of the edge. So I like that.
The quarterback spins and moves the wrong way. It could be right in his lap.
Yep. I hope Sark does that. I hope he lines him up, and PK too. I hope they line up Anthony Hill as the edge, and I like that pick because if he is coming off the edge, he's got a chance to make a couple of splash plays for this Longhorn defense today. I'm going to go with Ryan Watts, the return of Ryan Watts. He's the best corner on this team. I think he's a good matchup for BYU because all of BYU's receivers are tall as hell. Ryan Watts is very tall for a corner. He's 6'3", and he has been sorely missed for this Longhorn defense over the last couple of games. I don't think it's a coincidence that the secondary has played its worst football in the 2 games that Ryan Watts has not been available. So love that he's back in this one. I like to think he's 100%. We'll see how he looks. But the fact that they gave him this much time off leads me to think that he will be pretty close to a hundo P today. And I think Ryan Watts has a good game.
Yeah, I mean, the wide receivers for them are not speedsters. They're big, tall guys and long strides. So you've got a long strider with long striders, which is a good thing. You don't have those quick burst guys off the line of scrimmage that may be able to get around him. He can get his hands on these big guys.
Yep, that's the hope. That is the hope right there. And yeah, BYU, man, their receivers have made some highlight reel catches this year. I don't have any videos because that I think would get us in trouble, but to look out for like an SC top 10 play by one of these one of these wide receivers for BYU. How about this quote? Steve Sarkeesian doing a pregame interview from Tom Luganbill. Tom asked about Arch Manning, whether or not Arch Manning will play. Sark said, quote, "That could happen today. We'll see how the game goes and the flow of the game. You never know. You try to plan what could come down the road. If I get him a little exposure today, that would be great." So Sark, once again, not closing the door on a potential.
He's expecting him to be winning.
Yeah, Arch Manning appearance, and we'll see. Okay, defensive player of the game. Sorry, I got sidetracked there. That's brought to you by our friends at Kenfield Golf Cars.
Oh, yeah.
If you're in the market for a new or pre-owned golf cart, we've got good news. Our friends at Kenfield Golf Cars are right around the corner. They've been around since 1979. Nobody can match their selection of different golf carts available in new or used. And they want to turn your golf cart ideas into reality. My folks have a golf cart down in Galveston. They love it, dude. It's so nice.
Cool on the beach. Just go, huh?
Cool on the beach. But hey, if you just want to get around your neighborhood, man.
That's right down there. That's right.
Super, super easy. They can turn your golf cart ideas into reality, whether it's turning your existing golf cart into your own design or letting them design one that fits your needs. I'm telling you, nobody does it better than Kenfield Golf Cars. Check out their website, kenfieldgolfcars.com, or give them a call, 512-258-8515.
Now, are you excited about my special teams call today, a punt return?
Yeah.
And do we want to just have our kickers continue just to kick it out of the end zone, period?
That'd be nice. Now, BYU doesn't have the return game that Houston does.
We don't care. Kick it out anyway.
Yeah, but I'd prefer no big returns. I would prefer a big Keelan Robinson game, right? He had his best game of the year last week for Texas and kickoff return. He had a couple of big-time returns for the Longhorns. It'd be nice for that to be a thing today.
Well, slippery ball could be calling for another punt block, or they're going after it.
What do you call? You're calling for a punt block and a punt return touchdown?
They're going after a punt block every game from this point on.
Sure.
That's a part of what they do. And if they do that well, which I think they do, they're going to do it. And they're definitely going to do it with a slick ball today.
Yeah.
They're definitely going to at least try to get one.
Hey, I like the predictions, man.
You're
going bold right there. If you're calling one of those two, that's bold. But both
I just think when that's what you do really, really well. And I think over the last 2 years, this team, special teams wise, has done good, really blocking punts. So I think you just continue to do that. That's an every game thing. You at least once a game, try one, find that weak link and get after that person. And this kid seems to have a knack. I know he wants to get in as a regular player, punt blocker, but that's all right. do what you do best right now.
Yeah. Keelan Robinson did have a little bit of a cryptic tweet after the game last week, which basically insinuated that he wanted the ball more because he's capable of doing what he did last week on any given Saturday. So maybe we see more Keelan Robinson on offense. I don't know if I'd expect it, right? Texas is deep at running back.
I'd say why?
Yeah, with Brooks and with Baxter, and then like Savion Red, who's doing more quarterbacking, I guess, than running back. But
now,
obviously,
if you want to take him
runner.
to throw the ball deep today, another speedster out there for a kid who's just, if he's going to heave it, let it go.
Screen game. I think Keelan Robinson could be a screen game guy. You're talking about that being a big part of Texas's offensive game plan today. Maybe that could be something.
Are you expecting to see the screen on the first play of the game?
To Xavier Worthy?
Is he touching that ball?
Bear shit in the woods? Of course I am.
Some way somebody's going to be out in front of him. Yeah. That's coming first.
That's how it goes.
No, it's not going to happen today. It's not. They're turning the ball and handing it off.
You think so?
Today, yes. They're not going to do that to the young quarterback. They're not going to get him behind the chains where he has to then throw into a tight window on second down. No.
I hope you're right.
They are expecting it, though, on the other side. They will be expecting the screen today on the first play.
Oh, yes. They're going to be expecting a lot of screens today.
Yes, they are.
I would think. They're probably looking for a conservative Texas offense with Malik Murphy in there. Let me ask you this, Buck. How about not a score prediction? We'll do that here in a few moments, and we'll also get to your 3 keys to victory. But what's maybe a stat line prediction for Malik Murphy today? What are you expecting in terms of how many times he throws the football, in terms of how many yards, in terms of touchdowns, in terms of interceptions? What type of day do you think we get from QB1?
Well, QB1, I don't want to see any picks. So that's zero interceptions. I don't care if it's slick and the ball bounces off of somebody's helmet. And the guy goes through anybody's hands. No, you can't have any interceptions. I expect for him to throw the ball over 20 times. I still expect for him to throw it, 20 to 25 times, and that's fine, depending on, because those screens count as passes.
Yeah.
Even though they're, to me, extensions of handoffs to me. And they've got enough good players to get open. We haven't talked about Jordan Whittington. We haven't really talked about him since his big game against Oklahoma, which they lost, which they've wasted. Is a great output by that guy. This may be his safety blanket too, more so than anything, finding the zone and hitting him with the ball. But I expect him to be in the 200-yard range.
Okay, that's about where I am too.
230.
Yeah. Quinn Ewers, by the way, in his first career start last year, the season opener against ULM, 16 of 24, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. I wouldn't mind that type of stat line for Malik Murphy today.
Because I think you'll be running the ball into the 150s.
I do think he throws an interception today. BYU's got a very opportunistic defense. Once again, they had 5 takeaways last week against Texas Tech. I'd pick Quinn Ewers to throw a pick in this game today for what it's worth, but definitely with Murphy making his first start, I feel like there's just going to be one mistake. Maybe it's an inaccurate throw. To me, more likely it's just a bad read where he stares somebody down and a BYU defender is just watching his eyes and steps in and makes the play. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm in like the 210 to 220 range.
Sure.
I'll say 2 touchdowns, 1 interception for Malik Murphy today.
I think he will have one over the top. Long
shot
throw, yes.
Sign me up for that. By the way, a couple of other notable recent Texas quarterback debuts. Sam Ehlinger, his first game, 15 of 27, 222 yards and a touchdown. That was a 56-0 win over San Jose State. Colt McCoy, 12 for 19, 178, 3 touchdowns and a rushing touchdown in a 56-7 win over North Texas. I would absolutely sign up for that stat line right there. And then maybe a not so good one. David Ash, 22 of 40, 139 yards, 2 interceptions, but his first start was at Oklahoma State in a loss for Texas there. So, Malik, just Texas wins this game and they win it going away if Texas doesn't turn it over multiple times.
Right.
If we're talking about a crooked number of giveaways for this Texas offense or just this Texas team, right? Obviously, it could come on special teams, and that still gives BYU a short field. If that happens, if we're talking about multiple giveaways, then BYU is going to keep this thing close, and we're going to be a little bit nervous in the fourth quarter.
I mean, with the slick ball, there's going to be a couple turnovers, but Texas, to me, has to win the turnover battle.
Yeah.
And it can't be 3-2. I mean, it's got to be 4-2, 5-2, 6-2, where they're making this group cough the ball up, or BYU's the team that's mishandling balls. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
As I said, they're not going to spend all their time trying to run it if they can't run it. So that ball will be Slovis will have that ball in the air with these big, tall receivers. But that ball better be caught, better not be tipped into the secondary or it better not be behind guys because I expect the secondary to be behind guys.
Right.
So
Is that what worries you the most about this game? Is this
Yeah.
Texas secondary going up against the BYU offense?
I do against tall guys, fast guys, tall guys, small guys, grocery store clerks. I mean, anybody that's coming across the middle of the field, I worry with this secondary. They just haven't been playing well. I don't know. I don't know if they got fixed in a week because there's some guys that will be playing that played last week that I saw having to defend. So that kind of worries me a little bit.
Did you hear that knock on the door? Did y'all hear that?
What was it?
I think it was a Latter-day Saint trying to sell us a Bible or
No, magazines.
We're trying to get converted today, baby.
No, I used to love those kids. They used to come to my wall and hang out at my wall when I used to live at the compound I call.
Your wall?
Yeah, they would come and.
What are you, Donald Trump building
No,
walls?
I had a wall. They'd come over. I'd come out, and I would tell them. I said, "So, how are you?" Most polite young men, and they were on bikes. They'd been dropped off in the neighborhood. They were going on bikes. They were trying to sell magazines to me. And one kid, I said, "Listen, I don't have any money today. I'll go get some money from the bank tomorrow. Will you come back tomorrow at this time?" That dude was sitting up on the wall at that exact time.
Of course he was.
He was right there, man.
Yeah.
I was not expecting him. It was almost like when I had to take a homeless person to work, and the homeless dude didn't show up, and I was upset. Like, wait a minute, why? And somebody's like, "Why are you mad at this guy?" It's not taking your kid to bring a homeless person to work. And I saw this dude, and he was right across the street from where our radio studio was.
Yeah.
And I said, "Will you meet me over here? I'll buy you breakfast afterwards." And he said, "Okay, I'll be there tomorrow." I got there, the dude wasn't there. And so I'm like, how can I can't trust the homeless? What the hell is wrong with that guy? I had a meal for him.
You were going to give him breakfast and take him to work?
Yes.
And he no-showed.
He no-showed me.
Wow.
But the kid from the Latter-day Saints, he was on that wall. I wanted him on that wall. I needed him on that wall. And he was on that wall the next day. And I bought magazines. I bought a year's subscription of mags from that guy.
Yes, you did. And then right after that, you added 3 more wives to your collection.
Oh, baby.
That was it. You converted, and then
was he something? He was
you became a polygamist.
Nice young man.
That's awesome. Wow, the homeless guy no-showed. Probably because he didn't have a phone or a watch to know what time it was. You're like, meet me here at 8:30. He's like, what time is it, dude? I don't know what time it is now.
I have no trust. I had no trust in them after that. Come on now.
Yeah, well, you hate the homeless. We know that.
No,
you won't give them a hug either when they try to give you a hug.
No hugs.
I don't quite understand that. You could have made a homeless guy's life.
It was a girl. It was a dirty. Her face was dirty. Sorry about that, folks.
Oh, well.
This is all over the world here, this YouTube.
You could have made her life.
I was going to buy her lunch.
And instead, she didn't even want the lunch. She just wanted a free hug. She didn't even want your money. She just wanted to pick me up.
I was not giving out hugs that day. Her face was all dirty. I wasn't giving out hugs. Can people understand that? I don't just hug anybody. And filthy face people, no.
Would you hug young Brock over there if he asked for it?
If Brock needed a hug today and he was down and out, but if his face was filthy, see you tomorrow. Go clean up, dude.
Oh, man.
Here's a sandwich.
Could have given her some water. Hey, rinse your face, and then I
was going to buy her a full lunch.
Oh man.
And sorry, me goes back the next day, and the young girl goes, "Hey, there's the guy who wouldn't hug me." And I said, "Hey, here's the guy who's still not going to hug you. Would you like lunch?"
Ugh.
No, thanks, mister.
I'm out.
Just want a hug.
That's awesome. All right. We keep getting this text. I think someone's messing with me. Brock, if you could help me look this up too. Someone's like, Malik Murphy is not on the field during warmups. I assume that's a bit. Someone's just trying to mess with us. I did a quick check of Twitter, and I don't see anything like that. And if that were true, I feel like we would see 150,000 tweets that say something like that. I'm kind of mad at myself for even reading that text. So, all right. Well, Malik Murphy is on the field, so good bit, texter. Well
good
done.
Try.
You got us.
Good try.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
There you go.
All right. We've got 12 minutes left. How about your 3 keys to victory today, Brock? Brought to you by our friends at Hat Creek Burger Company.
All right. How about this one, BK? Just to get it out. How about establishing your run game early? Doesn't it have to be one of the keys?
Yeah.
That would be kind of crazy not to have that as one. Definitely establish your run game early. Number 2, protect the quarterback. You've got to protect this young quarterback. I know you've got a fantastic offensive line, but you've got to protect the quarterback. It doesn't matter. That's one of your keys if whether he was a first-time starter, protecting the quarterback at home is very important. And number 3, give a little extra today. Be extraordinary today. And that means you give a little extra, and that has to come from everybody today. If you're going to have success with a brand new quarterback having his first start, you have to be extraordinary. That means you have to give a little extra, and that's from everybody.
Yep.
That's from the wide receivers, the running backs. That's from the center. That's from, hey, coach, that's from you too. If they want to give you 3 points in a field goal, take it. Go ahead and take it.
No
today.
fake field goals today?
No fake field
No
goals.
punters throwing to kickers today?
No punters throwing to kickers. No heroes to be made today. I think those 3 keys are enough. And you really have to establish this run game early. Don't let them dictate when you're going to run the football. I don't care how many guys they put up there. You have enough power to get through them and make them pay for overpopulating the line of scrimmage. You know what I mean? Jonathan Brooks has to make them pay. I mean, with broken tackles, if he breaks a tackle, BK, he's automatically into your secondary. So not only have big runs for scores, and that's for both of the backs, because they're going to play C.J. Baxter. This was the group that thought C.J. Baxter should have been a starter from the get-go.
Yeah.
So he's playing, and he's playing up to a nice level right now where he looks like a legitimate running back in major college football. Although he's still young and he's not the starter, and it should have never been the starter. But I'll just say this: he's ready for the college level football right now, and he can do all the things that a sophomore or junior running back can do. So get him in the game, have him make some big plays. Now, is he going to share some of the carries? He's not going to split it 50-50.
God, no.
But he needs to get a bunch of carries.
I don't know about a bunch of carries.
A bunch of carries to me is 10.
Okay. I don't know if he needs that many.
Well, if the other guy's getting 35 and he gets 10, you're okay with that?
Fair. Yes.
Okay.
I'm down with that. Yeah. If Texas is running the ball 50 times, then
Yes.
Baxter can get 15 to 20 of those carries. That's fine.
And that should be your day. That's what your day should be about, getting those guys, 40 some carries today.
Yeah. I usually agree with your 3 keys to victory, but I think you hit the nail on the head with all 3 of those today, man. Like number 1, yes, establish the run game. Of course, Jonathan Brooks, for every 6 carries he has 1 explosive carry. Like this dude not only can pick up 4 to 5 yards, hell, he's averaging more than 6 yards a carry.
Right.
Not only can he give you those type of runs, but he can also break one off and get into your secondary too, like you mentioned.
And BK, when I say protect the quarterback, I mean protect the ball too.
Yep.
Protect the quarterback from being in situations where he gets sacked from behind, somebody takes the ball. You guys as running backs have to protect the football. This team has been unbelievable and carry as many carries as they have as running backs and not putting it on the ground. It'll be slick. This will be one of the slicker days that they play a game today. So everybody has to protect the foot. Wide receivers making catches, tucking the ball away, and then force the fumbles on them.
Yeah. Well, I think part of your protect the quarterback has to do with the fact that you are now 1 play away from a true freshman having to be your guy.
That's right.
Now, we know this true freshman ain't your average true freshman. Like this dude was the number 1 recruit in the country last year, and he's a freaking Manning. So we're all super excited, ecstatic. You can't combine those words. That doesn't make sense. We all love that Arch Manning is here, and we feel like his potential is through the roof. But you don't want to see that today.
No, I don't want to see that
so
today.
Keep Malik Murphy upright, right? Obviously, you protect him, give him time to make better decisions, less chance of a turnover. But also, you're 1 hit away from, Texas Tech had to throw a true freshman quarterback into their games.
Boy.
That guy's way worse than Arch Manning, but still, like you've seen how their season is completely spiraled out of control. You just do not want to be in that spot where
I'd like to see him in the game in the fourth quarter. I'd like to see him get some snaps.
That's fine. That's different.
And do some things because he is just a hit away now, or a sprained ankle away from being the starter at the University of Texas.
100%. And then the third one, be extra. Like if all of these players love Malik Murphy as much as they say that they do, which I believe them, I don't know why they lie about something like that. Like Malik Murphy is an incredibly well-respected guy in that locker room, and it almost feels like he's one of the team leaders, even though he has barely played this season. Rally around him.
Yeah.
Like pick him up. O-line, block better, run game, be better, receivers. Run better routes and catch everything thrown your way. In defense, for the love of God, figure it out.
Cover
please.
guys.
Yeah, cover some guys, please, so you don't turn this game into a shootout in your quarterback's first ever start in college.
And coach, call some plays that are going to help this guy succeed. That's part of your job too. All the things that you talked about this week and how much they love this guy, and we want to do things to have him to make him successful. Part of your job is to help make him successful today too.
Agreed.
You call the plays that they can get some guys wide open. I've seen him do it before. I saw him do it at Alabama. I've seen him do it at Texas, where a guy is wide open, and you're going, how the hell did that guy get wide open like that? Because the head coach schemed it that way. It's your scheming day today, Coach.
I'm with you.
If they're going to load up the box, make them pay in that secondary.
That's part of making life easy for Malik Murphy, right? Just find ways to scheme guys open.
Yes.
All right. The 3 keys to victory are brought to you by our friends at Hat Creek Burger Company. They've still got that queso, man. It's good.
Is it really?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yes. They also check out your locations, because they still have that breakfast too in certain locations. And Hat Creek Burger has an unbelievable breakfast. And I know Drew and the gang over there, not all of them have breakfast, but if you find the one that does, and they've got the pancakes, and they do pancakes like nobody's business, and they've got the bacon and the scrambled eggs, love it.
Yep, good breakfast tacos there at Hat Creek. But
you love those burgers.
And the burgers are stupid
milkshakes.
Good. Oh, the shakes, ridiculous. The queso, they've got queso fries, they've got queso tots. Once again, you can just get a huge tub of queso and dip your Hat Creek burger in there. That's healthy too. It's good for you.
Are you sure?
Yeah, well, think about it. Remember the food pyramid?
Okay.
For some reason, that was taught to us a lot growing up.
With the milk, a great milk.
Yeah, you got that little pyramid with all those different sections for what you need to be eating
John
every day.
Wooden.
So you've got the bread with the burger. You got the meat. That was a section.
Sure.
You got the dairy. There's your queso. You've got the veggies, lettuce, tomatoes. There's your veggies. And you've got the fat, the unhealthy stuff with the burger.
There you go.
You're covering all your bases there. That's a healthy meal.
Wow.
At Hat Creek Burger Company. They're all over the place. 26 locations now around the state. Of course, all over Austin, but they're in Dallas, they're in H-Town, they're in San Antonio, they're in Waco, they're in Temple too. Go see our friends at Creek Burger Company.
And BK, for our good friends here at Covert out here in BK, we are so excited about this week coming up with Ricky Williams' appearances on Friday. He'll be here. He's coming to town, and this will be a celebration of his 25th year of the Heisman Trophy coming up the weekend of Kansas State. But he's coming out here to meet and greet folks on Friday. And he'll be signing autographs, but please, if you come out, please don't empty the closet of all your Ricky Williams stuff that never got signed.
Oh, you can. He's just only going to sign one thing.
Yeah.
For a person.
Yeah, for a person. But he's that kind of guy that will just keep signing. He's just, that's just him. And he's looking forward to coming out here for the event. And he's looking forward to the food.
Oh,
the Verde. That's what he's looking forward to.
I am too.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Smoky Moe's. That's what he's looking forward to. But thanks to the Covert family for what they've done for us as we started to, I know we've got still a long way to go in this year, but boy, they have been fantastic to us.
Amen.
They really have.
Man. All right, we've got 3 minutes left, Buck, which means it's time to give our score predictions brought to you by our friends at Paul's Motor Works. You sent me a score prediction yesterday. It was 32-17. I'm going to give you the opportunity to change it if you would like.
I'm going 38-17.
Okay.
Yes.
So a win and a cover for Texas.
Yes, 38-17.
3-touchdown victory. I think the line at this moment is 20.5. Let me pull this up. Yep, 20.5 is the number. So you're going with
How is Vegas getting that with a starting quarterback?
Well, you clearly think they're right on the nose.
I'm not even thinking about the spread. I'm just thinking about a score. That's it. 38-17.
That happens to be right at the spread number. I like that. 38-17. Okay, so a big win for Texas. You think we maybe see some Arch Manning in the fourth quarter?
I do.
Okay.
I think we'll see Arch Manning for about 2 or 3 series, actually.
All right, late in the game.
I would like to see it late in the game, but because if Malik Murphy gets on one of those rolls and he's got a couple touchdowns in a row, let him stay on his roll. He may be the quarterback for a while.
Yeah, he might be. I think he will for sure be the quarterback next weekend, and it might be a few weeks after that too. I think this game's a lot closer than you do. I've got Texas winning this one, but I think it's a 30-23 final score.
It tells me you're not trusting in the secondary right now.
Not trusting the secondary that much. Just a little bit nervous about Malik Murphy. There's a chance Malik looks better than Quinn. It's not like Quinn was Colt McCoy or Vince Young out there.
Right.
Like there's a chance Malik balls out and plays really well, and Texas does win this game by 3 or 4 touchdowns. But a little nervous with a first-time starter at QB. Sure. A little nervous with this defense, with what they've done, and a little nervous because Boy on the Bicycle isn't playing a game today.
But he may be in the house.
So he could be in the house, which is the most terrifying thing in the history of the Node universe.
But if he's in the house somewhere.
Yep. Shout out to our friends at Paul's Motor Works for bringing y'all our score predictions each and every week. Paul's Motor Works, they have been providing complete foreign and domestic automotive repair in Austin since 2000. They specialize in BMW, Mercedes, Audi, Volkswagen, Porsche, Mini Cooper, but they do more than that. I mean, that's where I usually go to get my oil changes if you just need something like that. they can do that.
I got a little squeaks on my brake. I'll bring them over there to Paul and get it done.
They got you covered, man. Don't trust your car to anyone. Trust your car to the great people at Paul's Motor Works. Hard to find a reliable car mechanic. These guys are great people, big-time Longhorn fans, big fans of us, and we're huge fans of them. Paul's Motor Works over there on 2222, right by 620. Check them out online at pmwaustin.com. All right, Brock, score prediction for you, brother? We didn't even ask. 28-10, Texas. Okay, so a win but no cover.
Yeah, that makes me think that he thinks weather will be a factor here a little bit.
I'm changing my pick to 69-0, Texas.
You're going that far?
We're doing some soaking today, boys.
They're soaking it up, huh?
Soaking today, boys.
There you go.
All right, that is going to do it for our Texas Sports Unfiltered pregame show. A reminder, postgame with Trey Elling and Kevin Dunn will start right after the game. As soon as the clock hits 000, Trey and KD will be talking all things Texas and BYU. They'll be taking your YouTube comments. They'll be taking your text, and they'll be hopefully talking about a Longhorn victory. But we are done. Shout out to our friends at Covert once again for having us out. Shout out to all of our great pre and post game sponsors for being a part of what we do. For Brock, for Bucky, I am BK. Thank y'all so much for watching. Please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And we will talk to y'all soon. Until then,
welcome.
Hook 'em.